Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits because another day above the dirt is always a blessing. Let's not forget that. Let us not forget that. We got some things we got to get into. We got some things we have got to get into. There's a lot of things that are going on throughout the globe right now as we speak. It's been absolutely insane. So get ready for an action-packed, information-filled show today. And of course, our main topic for the day, you see it in the title, up above, down below, wherever you're watching this show right here. You saw it in the thumbnail. So we got a lot to talk about and a lot to get into. So get ready. It's about to get a really, really bumpy and crazy today for sure. So please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Crush it, do it, a do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, and Kick, make sure you do the respective things, you know what I mean, what they ask you to do. Hit that like button or hit that follow button for those pages so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, you know, you're fully aware of what's going on, okay? So please make sure you do that, please and thank you, all right? Also, don't forget to subscribe here on my YouTube channel, okay, where the main traffic is. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. Real talk. Thank you, thank you, thank you, all right? Then, of course, go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Hit that subscribe button over there as well. We got a lot that's going to be talked about over there. Clips from these live shows are being put over there on the second channel. So make sure you got that notification bell on both channels set to all. So you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload. I'm trying to give you guys a fair heads up now. You know, scheduling it ahead of time so you guys know when to come in and be a part of it. But, you know, sometimes there's breaking news. Sometimes we just got to go live and we just got to do it live. Okay? So make sure you have that notification bell set to all on both channels. All right? Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. Check out PascalMerch.com as well. We got some really great stuff over there. PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys, we got to get straight into this. There's some things we got to talk about. Now, as you guys already know, okay, there's been a lot of craziness that's been going on the internet. The internet is losing its doggone mind right now because of everything revolving around the diddler. Yes, we are back in that conversation again. Now, here's the thing. Verdict is already done, okay? Like, we need to, you know, honestly, what's done is done. Verdict has been made, but some things have happened. There's been some interviews by an alternate juror that's really starting to turn some heads and is really starting to make people ask some questions about everything that's going on. And I'm telling you right now, it is a very interesting, let's just be real, a very interesting situation, okay? Now, like I said, we are going to be talking about that here in just a second, but I did want to give you guys, as you guys start to file in, because I know some of you guys are trying to get into the show. Maybe you're just getting, you're just getting the alert that I'm live and all that. So, of course, before we get into everything, before we get into the main topic and the main conversation for the show, I do want to give you guys some updates revolving around the floods that happened in Texas. There are some updates revolving around that. Now they're saying that there is a possibility of the death toll going up to 300 people. 300 gone. Because let's be real. Yesterday there was over 100 people that lost their lives. And now they're saying that there could be even more. There's over, I'll just show you guys the title here. They're saying there's over 173 missing right now. 173. So they really do think that this toll could go and could near 300 people gone because they have more than 173 people missing. Okay. As people, rescuers, etc., continue to try to find these missing people due to these floods in all of these counties in central Texas. It's absolutely crazy. Again, this is absolutely sad. But of course, I wanted to give you guys these updates before we go into our main topic. Because, yeah, like I said, come on in, get on in here. Don't forget to hit the like button down below. Don't forget to subscribe. We talk about a lot of things on this show, okay? But nonetheless, this is some crazy stuff. So Texas floods, okay? They're still giving updates, okay? More than 173 missing as rescuers continue desperate search. So over 100 people in at least 6 counties, including 36 children in Kerr County, have passed away, okay, in the devastating floods. Now, what's interesting is we talked about it the other day. It was like 100 and something. I forgot the number. I feel like a jerk because I keep forgetting these numbers. But it was about, if I'm 104, there was 104 that lost their lives, okay? 104. And now they're saying that it's gone up to 119 people that have lost their lives, okay? So authorities have confirmed at least 119 deaths across 6 counties, including 59 adults and 36 children. And again, I'm telling you right now, with more than 173 people missing, this is not what I wanted to hear. And I know that's not something that everybody else wanted to hear. Real talk. We didn't want to hear this. We were like, we were good at it stopping at 104, right? But then it bumped up overnight. And now, according to this morning, okay, as far as this morning, 119 people have lost their lives, and there's still 173 people still missing and unaccounted for. Real talk, okay? So again, and imagine that number could be more, because there's a lot of people, I'm sure, that went to that area to watch the fireworks, hang out with their friends and family, or hang out with people, okay, and may not have told people that they were going to that actual space or to that actual place where this flash flood happened. Now, also, I want to point this out before we continue on. We do have to talk about this as well. There's been flash flooding in 2 different other areas as well. Actually, 3 different areas. There was flash flooding in New Mexico. 3 passed away in a flash flooding, okay, in flash flooding that hits a mountain village, okay, of Rio Doso in New Mexico. There was flash flooding in North Carolina over the last couple of days. And there was a flash flood in Chicago, y'all. Even in Chicago, it was hit with flash flooding. Now, from my understanding, that one did not have any fatalities, which of course is good news, but there was still flooding in Chicago. So you have it in Chicago, or you have it in Illinois, New Mexico, North Carolina, and in Texas, okay? Flash floods happening in various areas of the country, y'all, all at the same damn time, okay? Around the same damn time. That's absolutely crazy and scary as hell, just so you guys know. Let's continue on, though. We're going to look at that stuff in a little bit, you know, after we go through our main topic for sure. And there's a bunch of other things we need to talk about. We also need to talk about Gary Coleman. Yeah, what you talking about, Willis? Exactly. What you talking about, wifey? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we're going to talk about that in a little bit too, okay? Yeah, Gary Coleman, R.I.P. He was murked, guys. He was murked. We're going to talk about that in a little bit as well, okay? In a little bit. Yeah, Mo, you know what I mean? Yeah, man. It's not Gary. Not Gary. Yeah, it's Gary. Gary Coleman. Yeah, he was murked, y'all. I'm sorry. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So sit tight. We got a crazy show for you guys today. All right. We got a lot to get into. So let's get into this. All right. So again, more than 173 people are missing right now as we speak in the central Texas area. The number in the death toll has gone up to 119, and they are fearful that it could actually tap 300. Yes, this is insane. But of course, Texas Governor Greg Abbott said, "We will not stop until every missing person is accounted for." And I hope he holds true to that as well. Okay? Rescue crews continue to comb through the region, but the chances of finding survivors grow very slim. I'm going to say very slim. I don't mean to be a pessimist, okay? I'm a glass half full kind of guy. But at the same time, man, if they haven't found them so far, if they haven't found them yet, damn, okay? And I'm really concerned, okay? And I think all of us should be. Real talk. So forecasters say scattered showers and storms could hit the Interstate 35 corridor and the Texas Hill Country today, with isolated heavy showers possible. So again, getting slammed, okay? Getting slammed with more water. Again, remember, this is the area that they nicknamed Flash Flood Alley. Let's not forget that too, all right? At least 3 people have passed away in a flash flooding in the mountain village in New Mexico, okay? The mountain village of Ruidoso in New Mexico, okay, which was badly hit by wildfires last year. So not only did this area get hit with fires, now they've also been hit with a flash flood, taking out a family, if I'm correct. It's a father and his 2 children that were wiped out, unfortunately, during this flash flood in this mountain village of Ruidoso. It's crazy, guys, okay? So just wanted to give you guys this update. Kerrville Mayor chokes up at news conference, and he's been choking up, okay? The mayor of Kerrville, Joe Herring Jr., has been choking up every single press conference, understandably, because he keeps coming up with more information, guys. He keeps coming up with more devastating information, meaning we have more people who have lost their lives. We have more people of my town gone, right? It's not great. So I'm not surprised that he'd be choked up and sad and really rocked with everything. So the recent numbers reported break my heart, and they break the heart of everyone up here, everyone who's been working since July 4th, I'm sorry, he said, and he was visibly shaken. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be sleeping very well for a very long time, unfortunately, okay? And including everybody who's inside, who lives in Kerrville. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be deeply, deeply distraught, deeply hurt. A lot of friends, a lot of family, etc. gone, right? It's terrible. And remember, even the Camp Mystic girls, they've basically been confirmed all gone because they have not found them, right? Which is absolutely crazy and absolutely devastating as well. So when the floods first hit, 2 officers raced against time to evacuate locals in Hunt County. Okay, so Kerrville's Police Community Service Officer Chief Jonathan Lamb painted a somber picture of how the morning of July 4th unfolded as floods took over Hunt when most residents were asleep. He noted that the Highway 39 crisscrosses the Guadalupe over and over again. When it floods, it essentially creates little islands trapping people from actually being able to cross. So a patrol sergeant who lives in Hunt woke up early July 4th and realized, quote unquote, he was trapped on an island. And I think that there's a lot of people that can say the same thing. Remember, we heard reports of people saying, like, I just woke up and I woke up literally surrounded by water. Or I woke up and put my feet, thinking I'm putting my feet on the on the floor of my bedroom, only to find out that I'm putting my feet in water. And everything is floating, and I'm surrounded by water in my own home. Some people even woke up like that, y'all. I mean, that's some terrifying stuff. He saw dozens of people trapped on roofs. He saw people trapped in swift moving water. This is what the chief said. So that officer raced to the home of a Kerrville police detective and woke him up because he was that asleep. He did not know that rushing water was destroying so many people's homes and so many people's lives, right? For 13 hours, those 2 officers, along with some Hunt volunteer fire department firefighters and an emergency room doctor, provided care to the Hunt community. He continues saying they waded in the water and they rescued people. They got people off the roofs. They collected them there at the Hunt school. Many of them were injured. They provided first aid. they coordinated helicopter evacuations for the most critically injured. And let me just say this too. Shout out to all of them. Real talk. Shout out to all of them that were putting in the time and effort to make this, to save people. And we've been hearing countless stories of people just being absolute heroes, putting in their time, doing everything they can to save people. Okay. And this is what I love about, it's sad to say this, but it's very important. Okay. That we see these sides. Yes, we're hearing the tragedy, and yes, the code word is devastation. All right. Cause that's the only word you can really think about. Okay. You can also say annihilation. Okay. Obliteration as well. But you know, one thing that I do appreciate is that we are seeing people do what I think we're known for, being good people, right? Going out of their way to help another person, regardless of their political, ethnic, you know, background, whatever it may be. They're just trying to save people and get people safe. And I do appreciate every single last one of the heroes that are out there. There's also a bunch of unsung heroes that are out there doing everything they can to, like I said, save as many people as possible. There are people who don't even wear a badge, okay, that are doing everything they can to help. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But let's continue on. We got some video we got to take a look. Let's take a listen to this. They're saying over 160 here, but NBC News just reported over 173 people are missing. So let's just bring some awareness to this. Let's talk about this for a hot minute. Let's roll the beautiful bean footage. Sorry about that, guys. Let me do that again.
This morning, there's an update on the number of people missing from Friday's deadly flooding in the Hill Country. At least 161 people are unaccounted for in the Kerrville area. That includes 5 Camp Mystic campers and 1 counselor. 87 people are confirmed dead in Kerr County, and now 8 people are confirmed dead in neighboring Kendall County, making the total number of people killed along the Guadalupe River 95. The total number of people killed across Texas in flooding from this storm system is 110. That is more than the number of people who died in 2017's Hurricane Harvey. Now, during Tuesday's afternoon's press conference, state and local officials faced tough questions on the lack of warning given to Kerrville residents.
What happened? When did it happen? Was the emergency manager awake at the time? Did they push the button to issue an emergency alert?
Sir, it's not that easy when you just push a button, okay? There's a lot more to that. And we've told you several times.
Governor Greg Abbott says the state was...
Of course, I think that no matter what, you know how it is, there's going to be people who are going to sit there, you know, the media is going to push. They're going to push buttons, right? If you keep sitting there showing that you're affected by it, they're going to keep attacking that area, right? If you don't answer the questions that they're asking and they keep saying like, you know, we've seen the mayor of various towns even say like, listen, you know, of like Kerr County, if I'm correct, the mayor of Kerr County, you could see he was very, very angry when one of the reporters basically said like, yo, what is the truth here? Why weren't people of these counties alerted? Can you just give us the real truth about this, right? Got people so angry. It got at least the elected officials angry as hell. They're like, when we find these girls, then we'll talk about it. We need to find these girls. There's more than just the girls. I'm just going to say that. Really, real talk. Just to be completely real, keeping it a beam, okay? With all due respect, those girls are just as important as everybody else that's missing right now. Let's not forget, there are 173 people still missing right now as we speak from these floods. So, again, when are you going to answer the questions that are asked right now? Why weren't people alerted? Why wasn't there a siren? Why wasn't there any sort of alerts going off until hours later? There's reports of alerts going off hours later. So what's the truth, right? What is the truth? And again, let me repeat this again, because I know a lot of y'all are still kind of showing up, coming here late to the party. It's all good. I understand. Okay, welcome back. Welcome to the Pascal Show. I love you. But they are fearful that the death toll could tap 300 people gone. Because right now, the death toll right now is at 119. And they also know that 173 people are missing right now as we speak. And they are not finding anybody alive like that right now. They're rescuing people, but they're not rescuing everybody. Okay? So, again, very sad stuff that's going on. All right? So, of course, giving you guys the update on what's going on. At some point, they have to address the elephant in the room. At some point, they have to tell us exactly what's going on. They can't just keep, saying, when we find people, we'll talk. This is going to be a long time coming, guys, because there's 173 people missing unless they finally say, well, we just going to have to declare them gone then. I mean, that's the only other thing that they can do. If they don't do that, then they'll be out there for weeks trying to retrieve people, which they should continue doing that. But they should, at some point here soon, if they don't find everybody, respectfully, they should be declaring some of these people gone. Okay, majority of these people gone. I hate to say it like that, but that's the reality that we're looking at here, y'all. Okay, but let me continue, all right? So again, 119 people gone, literally deceased. There's 173 people still unaccounted for, okay, out there somewhere. Now, here's the other thing, too. I want to point out real quick before we continue. There was a woman that was found, rescued, alive in a tree, okay? But this was several hours after the flash flood happened in the Kerr County, Central Texas area, right? She was found 20 miles down the river, okay, down a ways, because she was swept away that quickly, okay? She survived. But now it's day 6. It's day 6 now. So again, how long can people really hold on to trees, limbs, etc. out there right now? I'm just saying, 20 miles down river. Crazy, okay? So again, reality has to hit these people at some point here. You know what I mean? But let's continue.
Was prepared since last Wednesday, but Kerrville did not have sirens. Former County Commissioner Tom Moser says he proposed adding them after a 2015 flood, but it didn't happen because of concerns over false alarms.
Do you think sirens could have saved lives here?
Most likely so, yes. Yes, I'm confident they could have.
Do you think a universal siren would have made a difference?
Yeah, absolutely.
Duh.
20 miles away in Comfort, siren.
Abso-freaking-lutely it could have. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't care. I understand everybody and their mama got some opinions about all this ish. But I'm telling you right now, the sirens would have helped somewhat. Okay? It would have helped something. Here it is. We're at that situation where it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. This situation right here. So I'd rather be safe than sorry, right? I'd rather be safe and wrong and alive, all right, than right and gone, okay? I'd rather be safe and wrong than dead and gone, okay? And right and gone, okay? Let me just be real, all right? So when the fact that they don't even have that, and they were concerned that there's been conversations in the past shows about concerns of there being a tidal wave of people trying to get out and there'd be too much congestion and all that stuff. Listen, guys, come on, man. I'd rather be safe and wrong than right and gone. Okay? Let's be real. Okay? So put in those sirens and use them anyway. Okay, period.
Sirens did alert residents to the flood danger. Daniel Morales, assistant chief of the Comfort Volunteer Fire Department, pushed for the sirens. His grandfather died there in a flood in the 70s.
It makes me feel good that I was able to do that, and that I'm part of it.
Comfort had 0 deaths in the flooding. The city of Kerrville held a special city council meeting to declare a catastrophe that allows them to delay responding to Freedom of Information Act requests for a week. News 4 San Antonio's Christina De Leon is live in Kerrville. She tells us more on what was voted on at that special meeting and the public's response to the city's work. Good morning, Christina.
Okay, so we're going to move on, though, okay, because there's more here I want to share. So let's take a look at this as well.
Waking up, Jonathan, to yet another day of devastation following Friday's overwhelming storm.
Yeah, the numbers are unbearable. The death toll now rising to over 100 people, with at least 170 still missing across that devastated area. NBC News national correspondent Morgan Chesky has the latest on the search for survivors, that desperate search, and the harrowing stories of those impacted by these fatal floods.
This morning in the grief-stricken Texas Hill Country, hope of finding survivors from Friday's devastating flooding is fading. Yet despite the odds, volunteers like Huntley Dantzler refusing to give up.
Biggest thing we're looking for places where there has not been foot traffic.
These before and after satellite images, providing a glimpse at the enormous scope and scale of the historic disaster. Local officials facing questions about why so many were caught off guard by the fast-rising floodwaters.
Was the emergency manager awake at the time? Did they push the button to issue an emergency alert?
Sir, it's not that easy when you just push a button.
Did it happen, sir?
I can't tell you at this time.
Governor Abbott stressing the state was prepared.
Who's to blame? Know this. That's the word choice of losers. Let me explain one thing about Texas. And that is Texas, every square inch of our state cares about football. The losing teams are the ones that try to point out who's to blame. The way winners talk is not to point fingers.
It comes as records obtained by NBC.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? What Abbott just said, what Governor Abbott just said. Those are questions that are made by losers. I think people want to know. Yeah, and he talking about foosball. Okay? Well, sir, I don't want your laugh. Okay? I don't want your laugh. Okay? Now, the analogy is not so great. I'm going to be real. Okay? It's not. But the reason why people want to know what's going on is because what the people are saying. The people are saying we didn't get any alerts. We didn't know anything that was going on. All of a sudden, we woke up to water. We woke up to my husband, being swept away from me. My kids getting swept away from me. Us climbing to the roof of our home, trying to avoid the water and the raging water that was coming by and destroying everything in its path. There was no heads up. So yes, there's going to be people that are going to want to know what the hell happened and why did this happen? Why did they not get a heads up? At least a heads up. Now, I know some people will sit there and say, oh yeah, there was no siren. Or the sirens go off and people won't even pay attention to it. I disagree. I think that if you live in an area that's known to be nicknamed Flash Flood Alley, I think that there would be some people taking that siren very seriously. Maybe you get 50-50. Maybe some people would be like, it's just a siren, go back to sleep, right? And maybe some others would be like, what's going on? Why is the sirens going on? They turn on local TV, or maybe they're looking up on their phone, or they're getting an alert on their phone, basically saying, flash flood, get out while you can, right? Flash flood warning, seek higher ground as soon as possible. Whatever the alert may be, right? I mean, in a way, I feel like you should at least give people the common decency of having a choice. And I've said this a million times in other shows before too, but I still believe that. Give people the opportunity to make a choice. They did not get a choice. They woke up and they lost family. They woke up, they lost their own life. They woke up and they lost their livelihood, the roof over their head, etc. That's not good. So of course there are going to be people asking what's up and why is this happening? This is not questions by losers. These are questions by people that want to know what happened to prevent this from happening ever again. Period. Now, I also want to remind you, we watched the video yesterday of, it was William Shatner, for crying out loud, doing some recap of a flash flood that happened in the same doggone area with Guadalupe River, where they did reenactments and everything on something that happened in 1987. Flash floods in the same area in 1987. And yet still, they didn't do anything about putting up sirens, putting together some sort of emergency communication infrastructure that they can use, that could be implicated. For decades now, they haven't even used those. And yet they've been having issues with flash floods since 1987 and then some. Okay? So again, I look at this and I go, wait a second. That doesn't make any sense. All right? Those people in 1987 were given a heads up. You hear it from the interview. They're like, yeah, we were told to pack up and go because, you know, there was a flash flood warning. That was in 1987. Yet, even when they got some semblance of a heads up, they some people were still caught in the wave of the flash flood. Those things happen, but at the same time, they at least were given warnings, y'all. This one was not. We in 2025, guys. Okay? We could do so many things with technology nowadays. Shoot, we got AI robots walking around here. Okay, we got self-driving cars, but we don't even have something as simple as rudimentary as sirens that are just blaring out a noise. That doesn't make sense to me, guys. That is not loser conversation. Those are questions of scared and concerned civilians that want to have answers so they don't lose their friends and family ever again. Sorry. Just my thoughts.
News shows that Camp Mystic had an emergency plan in place. Texas officials signing off on it just 2 days before the floods. Meanwhile, we're learning more about the victims, including 9-year-old Lainey Landry, a Camp Mystic attendee. Her family's church posting a photo from Lainey's first communion. This photo showing one of the cabins full of girls that was overwhelmed. Several of the children now confirmed dead. Some young survivors sharing their stories, like 10-year-old Lucy Kennedy.
I woke up to really loud thunder. I just had a gut feeling that something bad was about to happen.
Lucy, a Mystic camper, just like her mother Wynn, recounting the traumatic experience from Friday morning.
People from different cabins started coming to our porch and yelling wake up and go direct hall because there's a flood.
Evacuated by helicopter, the 10-year-old soon looked down on a summer paradise turned Texas tragedy.
That was NBC's Morgan Chesky with that report. And joining us now live from Kerrville, Texas, is NBC News national correspondent Aaron Gilchrist. Aaron, what's the latest there?
Well, today is going to be another day of intensive search efforts for folks in this county and Kerr County here, as well as in other places around the area, because there are still a lot of people who are missing. We talked about the fact that yesterday we finally got a number from, it came from Governor Abbott here, but the local officials also were able to say that they are still looking for upwards of 160 people. Just in Kerr County alone, 12 people in other places that were impacted by the flooding here. And the governor indicated that that number could change. It could get bigger as they're able to collect more information. They've had people reaching out to officials here in Texas looking for people that they can't find. And so officials were able to take that information from callers and cross-reference it with the list that they're developing of those who have already been discovered deceased, and figure out that they need to find at least another 160 people. And so we've seen these search and rescue teams across the state of Texas, coming from other states as well, arriving here over the last few days from several other states. And they're going to be continuing this effort in the air, on the ground, as well as on the water, looking for people, as they've been doing for the last several days now. At the same time, we are getting bits of information about the impact outside of the individual, the people impact that we've seen in terms of death here. There have also been instances where people are trying to sort of put their lives back together, people who survived the flooding. You may be able to see some of the debris behind me outside this home. And this is a house that was impacted by about, we think, maybe 3 feet of water came inside this home up from the Guadalupe River. And the homeowners have had to pull out all the things in their home that were ruined. And this is really the reality that many families in this area are having to deal with, trying to put their lives back together after devastation. Even those who didn't lose a loved one are going to have to deal with a dramatic change in their lives. The city has said that they believe there are millions of cubic yards of debris all over the city of Kerrville, for example. They are going to use unused soccer fields to try to get all this debris into central places so they can start to get rid of it at some point. At the same time, we understand that the stormwater plant here in Kerrville also was severely damaged by the flooding. And so there is a lot of work, a lot of recovery that still needs to be done in so many communities around this central Texas region. John, it's going to take weeks for the search effort to go forward, and it could take that long or longer for this community to totally recover.
You know, it's sad to see this. Okay. You know, what's really, really frustrating is that, you know, of course, you know, this situation is only going to get worse before it gets better, because obviously there's still 173 people that are missing right now. We still have so many other floods that are going on in various areas in America right now as we speak. This is just insane. Okay. I don't know, man. You know, I worry for all the people in Texas, in New Mexico, in North Carolina, even in Chicago. Like I said, there has been flooding in those areas as well, and it's just crazy. The one that has more, you know, deaths obviously is in New Mexico right now as we speak. We have 3 right now, 3 people that have lost their lives. It sounds like a family of 3, or actually a father and his 2 kids apparently have lost their lives in New Mexico. Of course, there's the flash flood that happened in Chicago, but it seems like that one was minimal, okay, at best. And then you got the stuff that's going on in North Carolina as well, which is, like I said, just absolutely crazy. And again, I fear that the number's just going to keep on going. Okay, keep on going, right? You know, yeah, this is just crazy. Okay, let me get some of these super chats here really quick before we go into the main topic of the day. Okay, we have definitely got to talk about this Diddy stuff, so we are going to talk about that. Okay, and for those of y'all who don't understand, we cover a lot of things under the title. Okay, if there's big news that's going on, I'm trying to give you guys everything in one show because we got to talk about it all, right? And of course, we are going to jump into the Diddy conversation. So sit tight. We're going to get right into it right after these super chats. Okay, real quick. Penny, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really do appreciate it. Ride Rebellion Floatcast, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Will a warning sign or warning siren warn people? Duh. Yeah, absolutely, guys. Okay, absolutely. I agree 110% with that. Okay, at least give people the common decency to have a choice. That's all I'm saying. Give people the decency to go. Should they stay or should they go? Right? Big Migs, what's up, man? Okay, cuts to the Noah. Okay, caused this ish. It's really sad. Yes, that is a conversation I'm hoping that they cover or they talk about here very, very soon. Because again, that is the conversation that's out here. That's at least what's being said, that because of these bills that have been out here, that have been passed, etc., that there's been some serious cuts on FEMA, NOAA, to National Weather Service, etc. All these things are being affected, allegedly affected by these bills being passed. And again, right when those things get passed, we got something that's going on throughout the country, by the way. Okay, it's not only just in Texas, like I said, it's North Carolina, even in Illinois and in New Mexico. All of this ish that's going on, shoot. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of explaining to do. I have a feeling for show. But Big Migs, thank you so much for the super chat. And Ride Rebellion, thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you ignore siren warnings, that's on you and your own bad decision. Absolutely. That doesn't mean you take the option of for others to heed the warning away. When I hear a warning, I look up the weather. Thank you so much for saying that. Exactly. Like I said, if you do a warning, siren, and alerts on the phone, and you do both of them at the same damn time, you're giving that person the choice to either stay or to go. If you don't use those sirens and they don't know what's going on, you're in a world of trouble. If you're an official, elected official, etc., you're not even giving them the common decency to make a decision, to make a good or bad decision. Trust me, if I heard an alarm, a siren, and an alarm went off on my phone, I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna take it seriously. I'm gonna be very concerned, right? And I'm gonna want to see what up, though, right? So then it would turn to the decision that you made is on you, individual, civilian. You decided to stick around. You didn't sit there and say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna, you didn't sit there and say, "I'm gonna go and pack up my stuff and leave." You just said, "I'm gonna stick around." We gave you the warnings, guys. So that one's on you. But when you don't do it at all, oh man, you know for a fact, everybody and their mama's gonna be like, "Whose fault is this? You gave us no warning. You did not give us the common decency of making a choice." That is messed up. So whose heads are going to roll? That's basically it. And no, I really do not think that it's loser talk. That is people who want to know what the hell happened because there were no heads up, even in the middle of the night, the darkness of the night. In the middle of the night, there was no heads up. That is tragic, y'all. That is absolutely tragic. Somebody is going to have to take the role or become the scapegoat. We already know that's just kind of how we do out here, right? We'll see what happens. And again, I know that elected officials like Ted Cruz, is also getting a lot of flack for how he's showing up. But that's going to be another conversation we're going to have on in another time, okay? But we got to get into this stuff because there is a lot of things that people are feeling some type of way about. There is a lot of talk about the juror that we just talked about yesterday. And let me tell you something. I thought we were done, okay? I thought we were totally done with this conversation about this juror, okay? But now we're starting to hear that people ain't done with him. Yeah. As you guys already know, Diddy was found not guilty on big charges from RICO, etc. Right? Now, people are feeling some type of way about this, guys. About this particular juror. So much that now they're saying, hey, what he said in these interviews, in the CNN interview, and then now he's in this new interview on News Nation. I'm telling you right now, there were so many holes in the CNN interview that we talked about yesterday. Then now he went over to News Nation. Okay, dude ain't done with his press tour. Okay, he's not, and I have a feeling. I feel like he's trying to sell a book. It's just a vibe I'm getting, okay? It's just the impression that I'm getting, okay? Now, I could be completely 110% wrong, but there's something about this that just seems a little bit odd, okay? I'm just going to keep it a bean. Okay. But nonetheless, a lot of people are very concerned about this. And of course, we got to step into first the CNN interview one last time. We're not watching the thing. Okay. We're not watching the whole thing. There's just a clip. And one of the people that is really spearheading this whole situation is Inner City Press. Okay. Shout out to this dude because he was watching that interview on CNN and he said, wait a second, something ain't right here. Something ain't right. This is weird. So one of the things he said, okay, and he put this up yesterday. He said in U.S. v. Combs, the judge told jurors and alternates at every break, don't speak with each other about the case. Now, this particular alternate who says he knew he was an alternate, which he didn't know, he shouldn't have known, okay? Real talk, he shouldn't have known, says that he knew that he was an alternate, okay? But then here's the thing. They told him, do not. Judge even said it. We read it during the transcripts, baby. We talked about this every single show. They said, please, judge said, please do not talk to each other. Do not look up anything about this case on your own time. Do not talk amongst each other. Do not do nothing. Leave the situation alone, right? But here's the thing. Here is the reason. This is the reason why I feel some type of way. And I've been feeling some type of way about this case for the longest time. Why would I be feeling some type of way about this for the longest time? Well, because of this, everybody. Come in closer. Let me explain something to you. Here it is. These jurors should have been sequestered. Without a shadow of a doubt. Every single last one of these jurors should have been sequestered. Sequestered meaning they should have been holed up in a hotel room, overseen by somebody, making sure that they're not having conversations with each other for the 7 weeks that this trial was going on. Let me repeat that again. This jury should have been sequestered. Every single last one of them, even the alternates. And the alternates didn't know that they were alternates until they were named alternates before the actual jury went in to deliberate. So this dude who's sitting here saying, oh, I've been known I was the alternate. How the F would you know that you're an alternate when you weren't even named that until seconds before everybody went into the room to deliberate? Please explain that to me. The screw up happened in the decision by the judge. I'm sorry. Sorry, I think the judge is a fantastic judge. I'm not saying anything bad about the judge, but the choice in which he said, everybody can go back to the respective homes. This was a recipe for mother-loving, for mother-loving disaster. You know, my staple sounds here, okay? My staple sounds. But still, this is a situation where it was going to be a recipe for disaster. This is where the judge messed up by sitting there going, go ahead. Go ahead, go back home. Go home, go home. You know what I mean? Tracy Ullman, nobody. Anyway, that's a deep cut. But anyway, think about it. They should have been locked up. They should have been locked up for those 7 weeks and called a mother-loving day. Here's the other thing I want to just have you guys think about for a second, okay? And no, I'm not salty. I ain't salty at all. Timothy, okay? Timothy, I am not salty. Let me just say this. I'm not salty at all. What this decision was is the decision that was made. I'm just giving you guys the information that's going on right now that the internet is losing their minds over. And there's certain things that happened in this particular trial that just don't sit right with myself and shouldn't sit right with anybody else. The fact that there was no sequestering of the jury, that was a recipe for disaster. Doesn't matter if you stand on the side of he's guilty or him innocent. Doesn't matter. It was a recipe for disaster because you knew for a fact at some point these people would start talking to each other. They're in a room with listening to this crazy testimonies from all kinds of people. You don't think that they're going to start talking to each other? Like, not at all. There are things that were said in this CNN interview that gave the vibe. He basically said, we thought that, we agreed that, we assumed this, we thought that, and we all agreed on this particular thing. How do you know? How do you know if you're not supposed to be talking to each other? You're not supposed to be deliberating or conversating about the trial at all. Y'all are supposed to be complete strangers to each other. There's supposed to be no conversation between y'all about this trial. And yet they were already having conversations that he was able to answer those questions as if he was a fly on the wall in that deliberation room. Make that make sense. He knew about, oh yeah, we all agreed that the judge was really professional and fantastic. What are you talking about? You're not supposed to be talking about any of this ish to anyone, right? So again, I ain't salty at all. I'm just stating facts. And I'm stating the things that people are reacting to and talking about. Like I said, Diddy being out here and free out here, breathing in this freedom air, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't put money in my pocket. It doesn't change how I live my life. Okay. It is what it is. But what is going on here is strange. It is most definitely strange. So going back to what he's saying here, okay, he says, don't speak with each other about the case. But this particular alternate by the name of George, who did not deliberate, by the way, he wasn't even in the room, told CNN, unanimously, we all said, how would he know, right? He also said that the UNOCT does not work with U.S. law enforcement. Now, the UNTC, which, of course, apparently the United Nations Office of Counterterrorism, all right? So we're going to talk about that in a second. But I just want to play this clip for you guys. This is from the CNN interview. And again, this made it very weird, okay? And then I go, if they're trying to put pressure on the judge to overturn the verdict, what does that mean exactly? We're going back to the drawing board, and this is going we're going to go back and do another trial? Like, dear God, right? Like, dear God, another trial? I don't want another trial. He was found not guilty. It is what it is. But if there's corruption, okay, I get it. But at the same time, if there wasn't corruption, then let it be, right? Let it be, let it be. You know what I mean? Let it be, man. But we never know. Will this be a big deal? So much that the judge will sit there and say, okay, it's a mistrial or whatever it may be, right? We got to do this all. We got to run it back again. That would be insane, right? And it's all because this alternate juror should not have been in this interview saying the things that he said.
That I think, unanimously, we kind of all said, like, wow. Like, it was
unanimously, we all said, like, wow. So, blah, blah, blah. Here to go. Okay, there will be lunch for you. Same instructions. Don't speak with each other about the case. Don't speak with anyone else, and don't look up anything about the case. With that, we'll see you tomorrow to start at 1 p.m. He said this every single day. Every time they went into a break, every time they had a little break to lunch break, or when they adjourned for the day, he still was sitting there saying, same instructions, guys. Why would he say same instructions if he hadn't said it before in the first place? And he says, hey, don't speak with each other about this case. Don't speak with anyone else. And don't look anything up about this case. Period, point blank. Yet this guy is sitting there going, we all agreed that such and such. I'm going to play it again for you guys. One more again.
That I think, unanimously, we kind of all said, like, wow. Like, it was
unanimously, we all said, like, wow. You know, what is going on here, right? Now, let me be real. I'm not sitting here trying to throw a wrench in any of this, okay? Let's be real, okay? But there's certain things that were said in the interview that, of course, would strike up a few questions for sure, okay? Let me be real. I'm not trying to move the goalpost. This is what people are talking about, Okay. And it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. This is odd. That's very odd. And I know some people would be like, yo, man, come on, man. He's innocent. All right. He dodged major bullets. They gave him the pro. Let the verdict be what it is. Let the chips fall where they may. Let's move on, bruh. And I feel you on that. 110%. I feel that same way. But when you got an alternate juror coming out on CNN, and then going out here and saying certain things that are sparking questions now, regardless if he's telling the full truth, that he showing proof that he was having conversations with jurors, or if he just slipped up and he was saying things misspeaking, okay, on certain things because of his nervousness, this is a problem. Because now everybody is talking about it. You see what I'm saying? I'm fine with the verdict. Let it be what it is. I don't want them to run this back. If this turns into a mistrial and they have to run this whole thing back, I'm going to be pissed. Do you understand that? We went through 7 weeks of this BS. You mean to tell me we're going to go through another 7 weeks if the judge says, yep, I got to overturn this? Man, I'm done. Okay? But like I said, people are looking at this situation and going, damn, he said that though. Live on television. Oh my damn. Okay? It's no bueno. Okay? No bueno. Because now everybody's got a million different questions. And of course, everyone's trying to go after each other. You know, the free Diddyers to the Diddy guilty, people are going after each other like it's civil war in the social media streets. Let me be real. Chill, tranquilo, por favor. Let it be what it is. Let's find out what happens. But still, this guy is going out here and he's doing these interviews, and he shouldn't be doing these interviews, in my personal opinion. Okay, so let's continue on, though. So, U.S. Nation's Office of Counterterrorism. Okay, so inner city, he has been diligently on this trial, big time. Okay, so inner city press reports on the UN, and I can say unequivocally that the UN office interacts and works with U.S. law enforcement, which George denied twice in order to get on the jury. No answer from the UN spokesperson. So now they're saying, let me go over here, okay? Now they're saying that this guy, okay, again, works for the UN. Yeah. And apparently, allegedly, according to Inner City Press, they're saying that this alternate lied to get into this trial. That's not good. Okay. So, I mean, hold on. Let's go over here because he just did a video. Where is that freaking thing? He just did a video like just about an hour ago. I want to see what he got to say. Hold on. It's in here somewhere. Where the hell is it? Come on, baby. There it is. I think this is or is this just a repeat? Maybe it's not. Let's just see what he says here. Okay. This is from Inner City Press. Again, let's take a look.
Okay, here we are. Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, Wednesday, July 9th, 2025.
It's new.
Now, yesterday in the criminal case, U.S. versus Sean Combs, there was some talk of expediting the sentencing. In fact, there was a letter put in by Mark Agnifilo, who I saw in the lobby about an hour and a half before the proceeding was supposed to begin. They were asking to expedite it, but then they put in a second letter just before the 2 p.m. proceeding saying that both sides agreed that it will remain October 3rd. So the proceeding was very short. Basically said thanks. So we live tweeted it. A total of 2 tweets, by the way, compared to the hundreds on previous days. However, the key date that I saw in the schedule is that by July 11th, which is Friday, the government is supposed to put in its presentation on offense conduct, which is basically relevant conduct, which is this concept that conduct beyond the 2 Mann Act charges could be considered at sentencing. That's the government's argument. Now, there's a Supreme Court case that may be to the contrary, and there's also just the basic fairness question of if the jury said not guilty, can that conduct come into sentencing? But there's other conduct around. So we'll have to see. And the biggest question I have is whether the government's finding will be put in the docket. They basically have been not putting a lot of things in the docket in this case. So we'll just have to see. Now, we also covered the civil cases of Sean Combs. One that we wrote up late yesterday, or you may see it today. It was John Doe versus Sean Combs. A guy worked for Royal Reigns, and he says that at a party in 2021, he had a drink, he felt confused and drugged, saw Sean Combs on top of him, and has had trauma ever since. Judge Etkin ruled yesterday that he has to give his name in 7 days or the case is dismissed. That's what's happening in the civil cases. It didn't happen in a criminal case. It remains that Mia and James remain nameless, even though many people knew who they were. We suffered some threats on that front, although we comply with all the rules. That said, let me go on, because of course there are other things here. First, on the quasi-hip-hop beat, there's a case by a photographer, photojournalist, cameraman, against Megan Thee Stallion.
Yep, we got to talk about that too. Megan Thee Stallion is getting under fire as well, because she was allegedly forcing a cameraman. Okay, she was forcing him to watch her have relations with another dude in a car. Apparently, I don't know how that happens. I don't know how that works. I don't know how you force somebody to watch them do the hibbity dibbity. I don't know how that works. Right? Look at me. Look at me. I don't know how that works, right? But apparently he's alleging that he was forced to watch her have relations with somebody else in a car. I don't know how that works. Like I said, the door's right next to you, right? You can literally just, no, and just run out the door, right? Open the door and step out. But apparently he was forced to watch her do the sideways samba. I'm not kidding. We're going to look at that. We're going to look that up in a little while. Okay. I got to write that down so I don't forget. Okay. But again, like I said, the door's right there, unless it was a moving car. Okay. And he's just, he can always, you know what I mean? Like if he was sitting right next to them in the back seat and he's watching them just, go to Pound Town, like he could literally just look out the window. You know what I mean? Oh, and just look out the window, right? If it was a moving vehicle. Or if he's sitting in the passenger seat, right? Front passenger seat, he could literally stop looking behind him and look straight forward through the windshield, right? Look at the road that's coming towards him. You see what I'm saying? Or yeah, you close your eyes too, something like that. But he's saying he was forced to watch if the car was moving, of course. He has many other choices if the car was still. He could open up the door and just walk out, right? But he apparently is saying he was forced to watch her do, oh God, no. You know what I mean? Not Megan Thee Stallion having hibbity dibbity. No. No, no. No, no. Like, I'm just saying, there's the door. You can look out the window. You can even plug your ears and go, anything. But apparently he's saying he was forced to do it. I don't know how that happens, but we have to look into that in a little bit. But nonetheless, we're going to talk about that in a second. We got to look at some other things. And the other thing too, somebody, I think it was S-Dubs that said this. I need to find it again. Too busy talking about. So S-Dubs said, I would totally lie if I could be part of an awesome trial. I would not admit I work in law enforcement or participate on social media. Just saying. So again, even one of our great S-Dubs, one of the greats in the chat, real talk. Some people will do whatever they could to be in that room, right? You know what I mean? Me, no, I'm just going to say the truth and so I can get out of the situation. I don't care if it's a high profile case. I mean, I got things to do. I got lives to live. Okay. So again, for me, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm not going to lie for that. Bye. But there are people that would. There are definitely people that would. Oh man, this is an opportunity to write a book. All of them want to write a book or write a script so they can sell it to Tubi, right? Real talk. Think about it. Plenty of people that want to have the opportunity to be like, I was in the room and it was absolutely riveting. Looking at the videos Absolutely riveting. I can't wait to sell my book. I wrote 130,000 pages of notes. And it's all turning into a very amazing trilogy of a book called Diddy Do It? Diddy? Check it out. It's on Amazon right now. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm waiting for all that to happen. And especially with this particular juror. All right. So let's get back into this. All right. So again, this is very, very interesting. And let me go back here. So this is what's interesting about this whole situation. So it says somebody was saying, hey, I was interested in and tried to find information about what it is you're reporting about on the UN, but I couldn't find a cohesive summary. We all have fried dopamine receptors from social media usage, so we need something short, simple, and interesting that summarizes the context. Okay, so he said, what's UN supposed to answer for? Whether its UN Office of Counterterrorism works with U.S. law enforcement or not. As alternate juror George twice claimed in voir dire to get on the jury. Shouldn't the UN, spokesperson for the UN, answer how UN uses taxpayer dollars? So it says right here, it's a bit strange. What's the U.S. supposed to answer for? The alternate juror wasn't representing them or working in an official capacity. Why would this guy say and claim that he works for the UN Office of Counterterrorism also be a juror for this specific situation, for this specific trial, go on to interviews, writing 350 pages of notes? Why would he sit here and go onto these interviews saying information that potentially he shouldn't be saying in the first place, right? So again, it doesn't make any sense, right? What's the UN supposed to answer for? The alternate juror wasn't representing them or working in an official capacity. Why would a person that works for the UN Office of Counterterrorism even be a part of the jury? Make that make sense, okay? Make that fully make sense, because that is where it's confusing, okay? That's the part that's very confusing in my personal opinion, all right? Is he, so I've heard some people like go, oh, is he moonlighting, etc.? But it's like, he shouldn't be there, okay? So thanks. In a nutshell, while covering a trial, the problems with the UN spring from complete legal immunity. For example, it negligently, brought cholera to Haiti. Okay, blah, blah, blah. It killed 1,000 people, never paid a penny, banned press that asked. So before UN banned him, because he reached out to the UN to be like, hey, can you explain to me about this guy and why he is saying and claiming that he works for the UN counterterrorism, but he's also here as a juror. So, and then of course they said that he lied on during voir dire to get in there, to be a part of the jury. That doesn't make any sense, right? So again, he's like, UN banned me. Okay. I was reaching out to them to try to understand what the heck is all this about, and they still banned me. That doesn't make any sense, right? So again, something about this guy ain't sitting right with a lot of people. Okay. So look, now while banned from the UN, I applied to re-enter, no answer. Whistleblowers leaked me UN docs. So of course, I'm sure there's gonna be stuff on his Patreon. Okay. But again, it just doesn't make any sense that you have someone who is claiming to be working for a big organization to suddenly lie about that to get onto the jury. That doesn't make any sense. At least this is what's being claimed by inner city press. Okay. Now, we have got to get into these interviews. There's another interview, like I said earlier, that this alternate juror did. Hold on, let me get this first. Well, let me make sure this is the right one. Yep. This guy did an interview on Ashley Banfield, okay? On News Nation, Ashley Banfield. They got him on there, and I called it, didn't I? I said, you're going to see jurors going to be coming out and talking, speaking out, and letting people know about things. You're going to see it on CNN. You're going to see it on News Nation. You're going to see it somewhere. Somebody's going to break their silence, and they definitely did. This guy definitely did. And now people are asking a whole lot of questions now because he opened his mouth, y'all. And do you blame people for looking at that and going, the math ain't mathin'? The math ain't mathin' for sure. Local trees, math ain't mathin'. Of course, people are going to look at this and ask questions now. If you have a critical thinking bone in your body, okay, you're going to ask questions when you hear these answers. You're going to be like, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. Sure, there's going to be other people that are like, okay, the verdict is what it is, so on and so forth. You're going to take it at face value. But there's other people who have been following this to a T that are going to look at this and go, wait a second. That don't make no sense. What? Y'all ain't supposed to be talking to each other. So why would you answer it in that way? And I already know that some people are going to be like, oh, he was nervous. He was concerned about X, Y, and Z and first time on TV and blah, blah, blah. I get it. He's awkward. He definitely is awkward. But how would he know what the jury feels if he's not in the room with them during deliberation? Think about that for a second. If they're not allowed to talk to each other, and he's not supposed to even know that he's an alternate until the moment that the judge said, y'all are alternates, y'all down here are the main 12. Go into the room, you guys stand by. Why would he sit there and say certain things, acting like, oh, I know this and I know that? It looks weird. And again, regardless of what side you're on, this looks sus as hell. Let's take a look at this. Let's rock and roll.
About the month of October. Because that month used to be a very lucky month for one Sean Diddy Combs. His #1 album, Press Play, it dropped in October of 2006. His cable TV network, Revolt TV, that launched in October of 2013. And Chicago's mayor once declared Diddy Day in October. And that was to honor the rap mogul's charity work. And we now know that this October will be momentous as well. Maybe even Diddy's luckiest day. At a hearing today in federal court in Manhattan, 6 days after Diddy's acquittal on RICO and sex trafficking, the judge in his case set sentencing for Diddy's 2 prostitution-related convictions for, ready? Yep, October 3rd. How about that? October 3rd. By which date he will have spent 1 year and 17 days behind bars. And every day of his involuntary stay is going to count towards the final number of months or years of his sentence. As for that sentence, that has been, how do I call it? Maybe the biggest parlor game in town. What's the judge going to do? Is he going to throw the book at him? Is he going to let him off easy? At the top end, Diddy could get 10 years on each count. So 2 terms of 10, and they could run one after the other. So you do the math. What does that mean? It means 20 years total. But the prosecutors are going a little conservative, and they're asking for at least 4 to 5 years in prison. For their part, Team Diddy is asking for 2 years, which with the time that he's already served would mean a little less than 1 year left in the federal lockup. As you know,
so he could literally just do 1 year. Like I said, he could just, because of time already spent, he could literally do as little as 1 year, or he could be looking at 20 years in prison. Again, it all depends on what the judge does. The judge might be like, you know what I mean? He might be like, F this dude. because of what maybe the judge could sit there and go, I just can't shake what I heard in this trial. And the fact that you just got away with all this, I feel like you ain't going to change, not for nothing. Even after you spend even just 1 year in prison, I'm giving you 20. That could possibly happen, right? But I doubt it. I really doubt it. But again, this is some crazy stuff that you're going to be seeing here, guys. Okay?
The reason that he's in a prison before a conviction is that he's been locked up without bail at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, known far and wide for its awfulness. But apparently it's a lot less awful for Sean Combs than it used to be, because his lead attorney says after last week's verdict, when Diddy was transported back to the lockup, his fellow inmates gave him a standing ovation, saying, quote, "We never see anyone beat the government."
Yeah.
Which Diddy did not do entirely, right?
He didn't. He's still going to get locked up, even if it is just for, a few months or several months to several years. He's still locked up. Yeah. People applauded him and gave him like a yay. You know what I mean? Yes, Hercules. But at the same time, though, y'all, he's still going to get locked up. Here's the other thing, too. He's getting applauded by other alleged criminals, and they're all basically saying the same thing in unison, that they are innocent as well. You realize that, right? And they're all probably like, man, that criminal just got off. Everybody got to have a dream. I can't believe he did that, man. That means I can do it too. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. Is a prison or a jail filled with people who are about to go into trial or just got done with trial, or they are in the middle of trial right now as we speak, fighting and trying to convince a jury of their peers as well that they are innocent when they probably were caught with the doggone knife covered in blood and everything, right? But like I said, there were a lot of people outside that courtroom that were rejoicing, doing cartwheels, writhing all over the floor, covering themselves in baby oil. So, this has been a wild case. I will say that.
And to that end, I want you to check out this picture of the actual verdict sheet that was filled out by the foreman on his jury. Big check mark next to the words "not guilty" on the biggest charges: racketeering and sex trafficking. But guilty on counts 3 and 5, transportation to engage in prostitution, which is AKA the Mann Act. Wouldn't you have just loved to be a fly on the wall as those jurors slogged through 7 weeks of this trial together? Well, tonight you're in luck, because juror number 330 got the summons and showed up for jury duty months ago, only to be picked among 17 other fellow citizens to sit in judgment of Diddy, to sit on the jury that would hear his case. His name is George, first name only tonight. And he sat in that courtroom every single day of Diddy's trial, which means he sat through 7 weeks of testimony, 34 witnesses, and clip after clip of freak-off videos. In the end, 12 of his colleagues on that panel of 18 were chosen and sent off to deliberate Diddy's fate. But George has come to talk to us tonight. George, welcome to the show. Boy, oh boy, have I ever wanted to talk to you. I'm really thankful that you're doing this. And first, can I just say thank you for your service?
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's a lot. Everybody thinks jury duty, how do I get out of it? But you're an example of a shining fellow American who didn't do that, and you did your civic duty. And I know you're smiling, but I'm really pious about this stuff. I think it's really important. So with that all said, did you agree with the verdict?
I did. I did agree with the verdict. Through the whole thing, I took a lot of notes. I think about 350 pages worth of notes, about 3 steno pads worth of notes. I wasn't actually the one that took the most notes. There was others that actually took more notes than I did. I think 4 steno pads.
Okay, I'm sorry, right there. Right off the bat. Right off the bat. Right off the bat. How would he know about other people writing a whole bunch of other notes? Now, here's the thing. I will say this, okay? First and foremost, yes, this interview is done after the fact, after the verdict. It's been a few days, okay, since the verdict. But at the same time, it's like, how would you, and of course, yeah, sure, there's a possibility that he could have had conversations with people that were jurors after the verdict was made. That is still possible. But at the same time, it still seems very strange that he would know that there's steno pads of just, copious amounts of notes made by so many other people, unless he's just watching other people from afar and just seeing that. Oh, okay, he just pulled out another legal pad. Wow, that's the second, third, fourth, fifth legal pad I've seen that dude hold in his hand. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like, how would he freaking know if he's not having some sort of conversation with other jurors in the jury pool? You see what I'm saying? It just seems weird, right? It just seems weird. I'm not alleging anything. Just saying that seems a little bit weird, don't you think? But let's move on. They're not supposed to have conversations with each other, just so you know. No words with each other. No words exchanged. But this is the problem of having jurors go back home. They could accidentally, let me just say this, they could accidentally get on the same train, heading towards the same area. Oh, wow. You on the same, whoa, what's up, man? Yeah. And they're all around like, nobody's here, but you know what? He did that. Or, no, he didn't. He didn't do that, man. What are you talking about? What do you mean? What do you mean? Well, this is what I think. I said he innocent. You want to know why? I mean, look at that. Look at that testimony, man. That testimony was trash. Look at Dawn. You really think she did it, bruh? Come on, homie. You really think she did it? Well, if you ask me, yeah, you got a point. It was a little strange. Her testimony seemed a little bit weird. You know what I mean? Next stop. Stand clear of the closing doors, please. Bing bong. It opens and closes, right? People come in. They're like, oh, well, we can't talk now. Then they get back on the bus or back on the train again the next morning. Stand clear of the closing doors, please. Bing bong. Boom. Yeah, man. Yeah, how was your, good morning. What's up? Yeah. So I thought about what you said, though. And you had a point. I looked up a couple, I just looked up something real quick, and it just popped up on my feed. You feel me? So I had to think about what you said, especially with that Jane Doe stuff. I feel you on that now. I definitely see what you're saying. You mean to tell me they're not talking to each other? Come on, y'all. They're not sequestered. They're not being looked after. They're not being followed. They're not being monitored. When they leave the doggone courthouse, anything is possible. They can go home and they have a certain opinion, but their wifey or their bestie or their husband sits there and says, nah, I feel different about what you just heard. Nah, she was just a hoe, man. That's all it is. Baby, hear me out. She was just a hoe. Okay? She was just a freak of leak. You don't listen. Yeah, I get it that you sit there going, I can't believe that he would do those things. Yes, those are deplorable, but at the same time, she said she was cool with it. Look at the text messages, babe. You don't tell me, you mean to tell me that these people are going home and they're not getting affected by the outside world? That these people that are surrounding their household, their life, etc., don't know that they're jurors for this trial? The public may not know, but their best friends, their people, really? They're not grabbing their phones from them, okay? They're not sitting there going, you can't talk to anybody. That's what they would be doing if they were sequestered. But that's not what's going on here. You see what I'm saying? The outside world can still have an incredible effect on every single last one of these jurors. And God forbid, what if they go home and they're listening to some manosphere YouTube channel or something like that? You know what I mean? And all they're sitting there saying is like, she's a 304. That's all it is. She's a 304. You see what I'm saying? Reading things from TMZ and whatnot. Come on, guys. Let's be real. People were getting affected by the outside world. The jurors were getting affected by the outside world, whether they like to admit it or not. I'm just saying, okay? But here it is. They came to their verdict. We have to respect that verdict. It is what it is, right? Oh, if you type in 304 and flip it upside down, it spells boobs. I'm kidding. It spells hoe. Just so you know. It spells garden tool. Okay? Just so you know. That's why 304 is the thing that they say now out here in these streets. Okay? But here's the thing. All right? Nonetheless, pretty crazy stuff. And we're going to continue on. But again, it's like I said, there's so many factors that are not being considered as far as how important it is for these jurors to be sequestered or not to be sequestered. That is a very, very big decision. And I think that could have backfired when it came to this jury and their deliberation process, because they were only in there for a few days and there was so much to look through. Okay, let's be real. But that's just me.
But I think if I was able to, given the chance to deliberate and review all my notes, review all the evidence, everything I needed to see, and also, most importantly, review the judge's charges, I would have eventually reached the same conclusion that the other the 12 jurors found.
And of course, there you were. The 12 went off into the room, and you didn't get to be the fly on the wall in the room. But did you all have the same sense? I know you weren't allowed to talk about the facts of the case, but you were with these people for 7 weeks straight. Did you all get the sense that everybody felt the same way all the way along, or was it poker face? You couldn't tell.
It was. I think, in a sense, we were just all hoping. We were just kind of waiting for it to end. Every day, I think it was just because there was so much evidence and so much testimony, and it was like, as you said, it was 7 weeks of witness after witness after witness after witness. So I think we were hoping for it to come all together. We were really waiting for the judge to give us his instructions to know, what the definitions are, what we're actually looking to do. So I think we had an open mind this entire time, and it really was like a show. And, we were just, the audience and just waiting to hear everything, whatever both sides present to us, and then make the ruling.
With that.
Okay, hold on. So here's the thing. How can he know? How can he know what everybody else is thinking? And I know that's one thing that people are going to be looking at. I think that he is misspeaking. Okay, I'm even giving this guy the benefit of the doubt. I'm throwing an olive branch. I think that he's misspeaking. Okay, he's sitting there going like, "Oh, we, right?" Like he's French. Okay, les enfants, les fromage. Okay, but at the same time, something about this is weird. He should be saying, in my opinion, because I can't speak for everybody else. You see what I'm saying? In my opinion, because I can't speak for everybody else. How I felt in the room, I think we were ready for them to hit the orchestral music and be done. Wrap it up music, okay? We were ready to get into the room and deliberate. We were tired. We were X, Y, and Z. That's how he should be answering these questions. But he's answering as if he is the know-all, be-all, that he is literally the spokesperson for all the jurors. How would he know anything about how they're feeling, any of these other jurors? How would he know anything about what they're feeling if they're not allowed to talk to each other at all? Real talk. How would he be able to talk about this if he does not have any position, any right to speak to any of the jurors for 7 whole weeks? I know it's very hard to do that. Of course, there's still going to be like if you bump into somebody or if you know what I mean? If you do something like, oh, yeah, go ahead. There's still conversation like that, but you're not talking to each other about the doggone case. But if they were going off and having little powwows in the room while no one was watching, right? They go into a room to eat lunch and they're just sitting there by themselves eating lunch. You mean to tell me they're not going to have a little conversation when, say that I don't know, the bailiff leaves or something like that. The door closes. They're like in mid-chew. Yeah, he did that. Or nah. I don't think he did it, guys. The man's innocent, y'all. He's getting swindled by a bunch of girls, right? Could be. Yeah. Going and taking a deuce in the restroom. Yeah, Jay Watt. Could be in there just doing a number 2, dropping off some kitties at the pool, right? Skadoosh. Yo, yeah, he did that. No, he didn't do that. Well, why do you think he didn't do it? Well, this is the reason why I think this, that, and the other. You see what I'm saying? There's so many opportunities where these particular people could talk to each other and have conversations. Let's not forget the weekends as well, y'all. Let's not forget about the weekends. You got weekends, longs, days. Some of these guys live in the same areas that they, you know what I mean? Some of them live in the same areas. They may not live right down the street from each other, but they live in the same areas as each other. What are the chances of them going, meeting up and having a quick coffee, having a conversation? Or they run into each other on the street or on the train to and from. Like I said, there's so many opportunities for this to transpire in a way that would be catastrophic and not so great for the verdict. But at the same time, this is the reason why I go, hey, these people should not have been unsequestered. They should have been sequestered, y'all. Okay? Because I feel like that would give some people some peace of mind. Okay? And let people come to terms with the fact that, all right, the verdict is the verdict. But now that this guy's coming out and speaking out, he's saying things out of turn that is sparking a lot of questions. Now everybody's going, wait a second. You're not supposed to be talking to each other. So how do you know what the general consensus is? There should be no general consensus. Everyone's supposed to be stoic, poker faces, no conversation. You shouldn't even know what these people sound like. You shouldn't even be like, oh, damn, dude, right now, the jurors should be like, oh, damn, the dude got an accent? Where's this dude from? Where's George from? Damn, the first time hearing his voice. That's what's up. You see what I'm saying? It's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, with that, I want to go sort of granular down to each of these charges, because when you listen to the prosecution's closing argument, she said to you, you can agree to have a lot of sex, and then if you don't agree just one time, that's sex trafficking. And I felt like there was evidence where both Jane and Cassie said, I don't want to do this. And there was pressure. There was either force, fraud, or coercion. Did you not agree? Did you think that the women were not telling the truth?
No. From the beginning, you could tell that. I mean, especially like Cassie, when she came in, she was, very visibly pregnant. I mean, she was extremely pregnant. So and even when Jane came, I think both of them were very credible. But as you listen to their testimony, and both of them, their testimony went for days. I think as you listen to them, some parts of their story at times, seemed like certain parts didn't really. There were a little bit holes, especially when under cross-examination. It raised a little bit levels of doubt, especially in my mind.
George,
on certain things.
So I get that. I definitely get that. It raises certain levels of doubt because I love free coughs, right? There's that text message. I love to free cough with you. But do you believe, George, and do you think your fellow jurors believed that Cassie, and let's just put Jane aside, that Cassie at least one time did not want to be a part of that? Say, for instance, after the escort testified that he could hear what sounded like Diddy beating her in the next room. And then they came back in and he said, finish strong. Did you believe that maybe that was an instance where Cassie truly did not want to finish, but she was coerced into finishing that free cough?
When looking at everything, and then because the defense, when they were showing, the counter arguments, they would always show, the after effects of some of especially the text messages. And in those instances, there was also a lot of saying thank you sometimes, or, I had a great time. So those kind of instances, they really did, I think, raise a little bit of doubt. And then just to know that these freak-offs were, done in with free will.
Well, that's what I mean. So,
mind you, this is still him saying his opinion, right? He can't really speak on everybody else. Now, I understand that the verdict end up being the verdict, but it sounds to me that some people in there at some point believed that he was guilty of certain things. Because again, if it was all agreement for everything until the racketeering thing, I just feel like it would be a faster turnaround, a much faster turnaround. So something about this, like I said, he can't be speaking on everybody. He can only speak from his own opinions. But the way that the questions are being asked and how he's answering them, yeah, I can see why people are asking those questions, or why the internet is losing their minds about this verdict and are possibly trying to get the judge to flip the to overturn this verdict, because it could very well be tainted, right? I digress. Let's continue.
I think many of them seemed to be, according to the evidence, she was into it. She was organizing and saying thank you and all the rest. But that one freak off, that's why I get down to the granular. The one freak off where the escort said I could hear her being, what sounded like her being beaten. She came out and Diddy said, finish strong. And is it possible, again, in a reasonable, not beyond all measure of doubt, just a reasonable doubt. Is it possible that Cassie did finish that freak off under coercion because she had just been smacked around in the room next door?
No, it very well could be. But I think when you look at everything together, there was some doubt that the jury had to convict, to say that those two counts were not guilty.
And maybe, I don't know if you agree with this, George, maybe there was too much information. Maybe the prosecution just handed you way too much to be able to kind of sort through it all, again, on that granular level. Is that fair?
I think it is fair. I mean, there was a lot of information, I have to say. I mean, every day when I would leave the court, it was just like, you really didn't know like where to even begin. A lot of times I would just walk home from the court all the way up to Grand Central, just to kind of clear my mind of all the things, because it's just, it's just a lot of information. There's a lot of exhibits that they kept presenting. So and every day was just, I always just came with an open mind, and I really didn't have my mind made up in either way, really until the end, until we were really waiting until the judge gave his 62-page instructions on what we need to do. And that's, I think, what I was waiting for, was just
that's a long walk, by the way.
It is.
That's like almost an hour if I do my math right.
Yeah, that's a long walk to sit there and clear your mind. And let me be real. I agree with the question. I'm glad that Ashley Banfield asked that question. I'm going to be real. I'm really happy that she asked that doggone question, which is, hey, do you think that the prosecution maybe just threw way too much at the jury? Didn't I say that? Didn't I say that? I said, I hope to God that they break this all the way down for the jury like they're children, because there's so much to bite down on. This is such a huge dinner. And it's like, how are you going to eat all of this food? This is all for me? Damn. It takes up the whole freaking table, right? So I really am, in my personal opinion, I was concerned about that too. That, this is going to be really, really hard for the jury to really come down with a full decision on, absolutely, verdict is guilty, right? Because there was so much that they were giving to them. Then also, here's the other thing too. I'm gonna say this too. I think that the prosecution was leaning way too much on the DV stuff rather than actually leaning on the the racketeering charges, the STing charges, the moving people around. They were too busy talking about sores and mouths, doing number one on people, baby oil and Astroglide and vegetable soup and applesauce, that I think that a lot of things that they were supposed to be in that room deliberating for went right over their heads. That's what I truly think. It just went right over their heads. Truly, that's what I think. They threw way too much stuff up against the wall to see what stuck, and it looks like a lot of it didn't stick because everyone was like, whoa, this is, what's going on? You know what I mean? What are we here for? Wait, oh my God, what is life? What's my name? I lost my name. I forgot my name. You know what I mean? There was so much going on that people were getting verdict-wise, discombobulated. And they're like, what are we here for? What are we here for? You know what I mean? I ain't call my mama. I'm confused. You know what I mean? Why are we here? We've been watching way too much stuff of people bumping uglies and lathering each other with baby oil and Astroglide bottles and all that stuff. What are we here for, man? For real. I'm really confused. Someone call my mama. I need to be brought back to earth. That is the problem as well. I agree. I think, and I'm glad that Ashley Banfield asked that, because it's like, yo, prosecution could have done so much more with this, and they really didn't send it home. Real talk, they really didn't. Hence the reason why he was found not guilty on the major charges. I still think there's a part where he says in the previous interview, this George, okay, the alternate George, he says in a previous interview on CNN, he said, yeah, you know, we believed Cassie. So if you believed Cassie, why would you say you believe Cassie, but you still didn't give her the STing charge? Still didn't give him, I'm sorry, the STing charge. If you believe Cassie and believe that what she went through was horrific and that she was moved, okay? And that's not just through plying somebody with substances. That could also be through force and coercion. If you believe that she was either forced or coercioned into this thing, why did he not get hit with the STing charge? Is it solely because they didn't want to give him the ST charge, because then that would automatically mean that he would have RICO as well? Like I said, make it make sense. It just seems weird, right? Just seems very, very weird. But yes, I think the jury was absolutely over freaking whelmed with all kinds of BS, okay, revolving around this particular case. But I want to hear from an actual juror. And I'm going to say it again. I said it before, but I'd love to hear from a female juror that was in the room as a female, hearing the information, hearing what they saw, hearing and seeing what they saw. How did they come to the final verdict of not guilty on all those major charges? That's what I'd like to know as well. Inquiring minds would like to know that too. I know he's an alternate, but we are hearing from a man. I would love to hear from a female's perspective, the female juror's perspective. How did they come to the conclusion of guilty on those big charges?
That's a lot. That's a long walk. I have one last question. I'm going to make it brief because I'm running out of time, but I am so curious, because as I watched all of this testimony and the witnesses every single day, I felt like I saw evidence of bribery, kidnapping, extortion, assault, corroborated by several witnesses, testimony and messages.
Yes.
And those were all the predicate acts in order to find RICO, the racketeering, and yet the jury found no racketeering. Why do you think that is?
I think, racketeering, and I mean, from what I understood, it's a very, all the charges are very high bar charges. But when you look at the different counts, I think the defense raised some doubt in each one of them. Especially the, kidnapping, arson, forced labor, all of those different charges, because you had to find them in two. I think there was always a little bit of doubt. The prosecution did an excellent job. I have the highest regards for all the prosecutors. I was very impressed with them. But the defense did poke some holes in the witnesses' arguments on some of those charges.
They did their job.
They did their job. They did what they were paid for.
They poked a lot of holes, George.
Yes.
They got you to reasonable doubt. They got your colleagues to reasonable doubt. One last quick question. I knew that I said that was my last question, but I do have this one. Can I ask you this? What do you think of Sean Combs as a man?
Oh, snap. What? Remember, the defense did everything they could to be like, okay, yeah, he may be a butthole. He may be a butthole, okay? Witness on the stand. But wasn't he nice to you other times? Can you tell us one good thing about Diddy? Right? Didn't the defense do that same thing? Yeah, we get he's a butthole. Yes, he's a butthole. But he's a nice guy to you, though, too, right? And then the people would be like, yeah, it was the best experience of my entire life. He was the best boss ever. So on and so forth, right? So let's hear what he got to say. Because I'm sure it's going to echo the same thing that he said on CNN. Maybe he'll explain or expand on that a little bit more with this one. Let's see.
Well, any man who does domestic violence isn't much of a man, in my opinion. It's anyone that beats a woman, hurts a woman, is not a good person. And that was from the beginning. They had even the defense admitted that Sean Diddy Combs is he's a very flawed individual. So I'm glad that the evidence was overwhelming that he's found guilty on these 2 charges. So I'm glad that he is going to face justice.
Serve some time. Yeah.
So I'm happy for that.
George,
and I hope he gets the max, whatever he can get.
Were you about to say you hope he gets the max?
I said I hope whatever, it's the judge's discretion for whatever however the sentence, but I hope and I know the judge has been fair this whole time, so I hope it's the maximum whatever is possible.
That's interesting. I want to thank you again for your.
That is very interesting for him to sit there and say, I hope that this particular man, the diddler, gets the max. Now, that's very interesting that he said that, right? And then the interview that he did on CNN, he basically was like, I ain't trying to be his friend. After all of this, we good. The verdict is the verdict, but I ain't trying to be his friend. We ain't cool. Because he believes what everyone else, I feel, a lot of people believe. What Diddy did, as far as DV goes, is monstrous, okay? What he put those women through is absolutely diabolical as well. I hate to say it I hate to keep it real, but that stuff is terrible, okay? I don't think there's a reason for us to disagree on those parts. What we saw in the videos, what was being alleged of what these women went through, those freak-off tapes, etc., those things are diabolical, okay? And he should be held accountable for his actions on those things as well. But here's the thing. He was found not guilty of RICO, STing, okay? He was found guilty on the to engage in pros. Okay. He's going to get his time in prison. It may not be super long, but he's going to get his time in prison, okay? What he did, like I said, those things without question, like it's wild to me that people are out here celebrating this. This is not a verdict that should be celebrated. At the end of the day, Diddy, yes, he dodged major bullets for sure, okay? And yes, you could look at that as a win, but still, no matter what, this man still has to pay his time he still has to spend his time in prison, no matter what. I don't think that this is a situation where, and of course, I'm not making any digs at any content creators or anything like that. Not at all. I'm talking about the general public. There were women out there lathering themselves in baby oil, jumping up and down, rejoicing to this whole situation. This is not a rejoiceful scenario, guys. Okay, this is somebody who has been caught red-handed of doing terrible things to people, okay? And he's done this countless times and has gotten away with it for decades. And now he is sort of paying the piper now, sort of. And hey, here it is. That's fine. I just don't think that this is a example of black excellence, okay? This is not an example of excellence at all. All right. This is somebody who has done some very terrible things to another individual, to other individuals, and has been doing it for a very, very long time. Yes, he wasn't caught doing the racketeering or putting together some sort of enterprise to hold these people against their will. He's not been found guilty on those things, but he definitely did have people around him that would stay quiet and let him do what he was doing. There were plenty of people that were surrounding his life that's turned a blind eye because of his status and his power, and that is sad. Doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. Doesn't matter if you're free Diddy or not. We have to agree that what he did and what he's caught on film doing is not acceptable. Sure, he's not on trial for that. Absolutely. I get that. But at the same time, those things are disturbing and disgusting. Okay? And I think that when it's time for him to be sentenced, I hope that the judge sentences him in the most proper way possible. Real talk. Because again, this guy is bad news. Period. Rejoice on the RICO, him dodging the RICO. Fine, they weren't able to show that. But look at the evidence that was shown. Some really bad stuff out here, guys. Really bad stuff. Let me get some of these super chats here really quick. Restored Faith, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. As a survivor of H-Ting, I found this decision disheartening. I felt like a slap in the face to all victims and survivors of HT, DV, and SA. This is exactly why so many victims choose to remain silent. See, and yes, I totally understand that side of the situation. I think that there's going to be a lot of people that feel exactly how you feel. And some of them are claiming that they are victims of Diddy. And seeing a verdict like this, it's like, dang, once again, reasons why some people, I feel, that are victims of Diddy that have not come out and spoken out because they're scared that this was going to be the end result. He ain't walking, but he is going to be, but he is going to be out in a few years. So I can see this being something that can very much concern a lot of the people that were stepping forward, speaking out, and trying to definitely take this man down. It's a sad situation, guys, whether you agree with it or not. And again, when you see this alternate juror coming out and speaking in ways that he shouldn't be speaking on, it definitely sparks some questions. And no, I don't think people are trying to move the goalpost to make the verdict even more severe so that it favors their bias. No, I think that this interview and the other one that he did in CNN or on CNN is causing a stir on the internet because there's certain things that he shouldn't be saying. And of course, people are wondering what's up with that, right? And no, I honestly don't think still until I see proof, I don't think the jury was paid off. Let me repeat that again. I don't think the jury was paid off. I do think that they were talking to each other before deliberation for the verdict came out or happened. I truly think that. Were they paid off? I don't think so. Until I see proof of that, I'm going to stay on that side for now, right? But the way this guy is speaking, weird, okay? Very, very weird, in my personal opinion. Dana, dear Dana, thank you so much for the super chat. Judge had put a time frame on jurors discussing the case when discussing or dismissing the jurors. He did. I don't remember him doing that. I honestly don't. But if he did, that's interesting as well. Maybe he was like, yo, I just want to enjoy my 4th of July. So I'm trying to go out of town. We going to the Hamptons, me and the kids and the fam, wrap it up, B. Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember that happening. But that would be very interesting news to me for sure. Let me grab this other one real quick. Hold on, guys. I'm still here. Okay. So Brittany, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Talks of violence on women makes the dude smile, or makes this dude smile. I think he was just smiling or smirking because that's just how he is. Maybe he's just nervous and he just had a smirk on his face. Maybe that's what it is. But you can clearly, at the end, you can clearly hear what he said. He's like, this Diddy is not a man to me, you know, especially for what he did, raising his hands to these women, etc. This is not a man. He said that. So, you know, I think his smile or his smirk on his face is just nerves, to be completely honest. Wanda, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. I wish she would have asked him if they believe Cassie's mom. That was definitely extortion. Let me just say this really quick. I'm really glad, and I think Ashley Banfield did a really good job with the short interview that she had, especially when she says, what about the bribery? What about the extortion? What about all these other things that were underneath the racketeering charge? Those things were definitely there. You had the extortion. You had the bribery, right? You had those things without question. And yet he still dodged the RICO charge, right? Or the RICO racketeering charge. That's insane, right? And yes, mama came up. Cassie's mama said, I was extorted. Me and my husband were extorted. We paid him $20,000. We wired it. There's a paper trail of that. And then a few days later, he returned that money back to us. We put a second mortgage on the house just so we could pay that 20 grand to this man. Okay. And suddenly now it's, and suddenly now, we're not even talking about that. We're not even discussing that. That just doesn't make any sense to me, guys. It really, really doesn't. Okay. It really, really doesn't. Don't worry, guys. I'm still here. My computer has been acting a fool. Hold up. My computer has been acting a fool lately. So just ride with me for a second while my camera gets turned back on here in just a minute. But yeah, guys, that just doesn't make any earthly sense to me. Real talk. Okay. But real quick, let's and Wanda, thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. But let's go over to, we got some more things we got to talk about. But like I said, it doesn't make any earthly sense that some of those charges were basically overlooked. Why were they overlooked? You see what I'm saying? That just doesn't make, that's just not computing for me. Okay. But real quick, let me see here. Let me see if this is going to be my friend. Hold up, guys. 2 seconds, guys. I need to fix something here real quick. Okay, I'm back. It's just tripping balls. Okay. Computer's been acting up. I might have to get a new computer, which I really, really hate. I really, really hate it. But anyway, or I might have to get some new parts for this computer. But anyway, let me move this back a little bit because it's tripping like a mother lover. But I'm back. Okay. So again, like I said, there's just certain things that are about, with this jury verdict, with this verdict seem a bit strange to me. Okay. They do seem a little bit strange to me, but like I said, it's going to be something that they're just going to have to basically ride with for, unless the judge decides to overthrow the situation. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to see what happens, but it seems a little bit odd to me with this particular alternate juror coming out speaking and saying things that he shouldn't be saying, right? And again, I'll say this too. It's not like he's a veteran in reporting or doing interviews. He's an amateur. He's a regular guy, works, does his thing. Suddenly he's on the likes of CNN and News Nation. He's not properly vetted. He's not somebody who's cut his teeth on a million different interviews and a million different shows or anything of that sort. He is just a regular guy, right? So again, I can see him being like, I am just trying to tell my side of everything, and this is how it's coming out of my mouth. That could possibly be it too. But at the same time, I can see why some people are showing some serious concerns and showing some serious questions about all this. Okay, because these are some serious questions. And he's definitely flown up some red flags for sure. Now, here's the thing. There's some other things that we got to talk about because, there's a lot of things to talk about going on in the streets. Something went down and we definitely need to talk about this. And I'm talking about Gary Coleman. Yeah. Now, a lot of y'all are going to be like, what are you talking about, Pascal? We got to talk about this. Now, I don't know if you remember Gary Coleman or even know about Gary Coleman, but Gary Coleman was on, child star, definitely was thrown into the Hollywood machine at a very, very young age. Okay. He was on a hit sitcom in the early 80s and all that. Okay. And something has popped off that is just very strange to me that I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys about recently. And this happened yesterday. I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys about it. And I'm sitting here going, now I think this dude was murked. Yeah. I truly, truly believe in my heart of hearts that this guy was murked. The reason why I say this is because, okay, I got so many questions about this. I got so many questions. Like, why? You know what I mean? We're going to talk about it here in a second. Okay. But here it is. Gary Coleman's ex-wife, Shannon Price, she did a lie detector test. And the questions that were asked were specifically about the demise of Gary Coleman. And allegedly, she failed. She failed the lie detector test. Now, this is bad, okay? This is very, very bad. I got to pull up the video, but we're going to get into that in a second. I don't have the video up here. I got to pull it up here in a second. But anyway, this is bad. So there's a 2-hour premiere of Lie Detector, Truth or Deception. It airs in tomorrow, okay? And there's a little bit of a teaser that we're going to look at here in a second. And again, I'm telling you right now, this is so bad. This is so bad. Okay, so just a few highlights here. So Shannon Price, who, by the way, a lot of people have been side-eyeing her as the possible person that took the life or is the cause of Gary Coleman's demise. Let me just say that, all right? So she took a lie detector test on a new A&E docu-series called Lie Detector, Truth or Deception, okay? So this magazine or this news article has exclusive details about the results of the exam after Price was asked about her involvement in Coleman's sudden demise in 2010. So it's been 15 years, guys, okay? And of course, the premiere comes out tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on A&E. Now, here's the thing. His ex-wife, Shannon Price, has been putting her name on the line, okay? She is putting her name on the line. After 15 years of speculation about Price's involvement in the late actor's sudden demise, she continues to maintain her innocence. Now people, the magazine, the article we're reading here, can exclusively reveal the shocking details of a voluntary lie detector test that she took on the upcoming series on A&E called Lie Detector, Truth or Deception. She says, it says, I literally my whole life have had the odds working against me. She said this in this 2-hour premiere. And so I'm really hoping for a good outcome. Not everyone is perfect at taking a polygraph test, but I have a glimmer of hope that this will work out in my favor and people will be like, okay, you know what? She's just a normal girl that had an unfortunate situation happen. Okay. So the Different Strokes star, Gary Coleman, okay, that was the hit show that he was on, all right? And Price got married in August 2007, but then they divorced following the following year, although they continued living together. So they still lived together, but they were divorced. Crazy. How does that happen? Living with your ex would be insane. But moving on. In May of 2010, he suffered an intracranial hemorrhage after falling in their Utah home. Okay? Price claimed that she found Coleman in a pool of his own blood after the fall. His demise was ruled accidental, and Price was never charged with a crime. But the people out here, the streets, have been talking and for years, and they've all speculated that maybe she gave him a little push over on the stairs, having him fall down stairs, right? Because they're like, there's no way Gary Coleman just went away like this. There's no way, right? In a recording of her 911 call reporting the incident, Price can be heard refusing to listen to the operator's instructions to help her former husband. 2 days after being placed in a medically induced coma, Price removed Coleman from life support, which also gave a lot of people this sound. Crazy, right? So people are sitting here going, wait a second, why would you pull the plug, right? Why would you pull the plug? And apparently she did. Now, I want you guys to consume this look, okay? Of course, Gary Coleman is, to the right. And of course, you got Shannon Price to the left. Take a good look at what Shannon Price looks like right here. Now, I know 15 years, but I just want you to see this is what she looks like now or then before his demise. Just remember that, okay? Keep that in your brains. I'm going to even blow this up. Take a good look at her right now, okay? Take a good freaking look. All right? Moving on. Prince Price, admitted that she was, quote unquote, a little nervous to hear the results of the polygraph exam. So, you pushed me a little bit yesterday, she told the examiner, which is a former FBI agent, George Olivo, of his questioning. It was so stressful. I'm not going to lie. This really put into perspective like, hey, Shannon, this is you. This is your character. So this FBI agent, Olivo, acknowledging that he had, quote unquote, to real Price and to make sure she was taking the exam seriously, then laid out the several steps he went through to determine the final results. First evaluating them himself, then running the data through a computer system, and finally getting a second reading from a fellow retired FBI agent, okay? FBI examiner. All three independent results are the same, he said. All three of them are the same. Let me just repeat that again, emphasizing his confidence in their validity. This is her now. Don't worry, I'm going to blow that up. That's her now, 15 whole years later. Don't worry, we're going to see some video of her here in a second. I'm telling you right now, this is her 15 years ago. And this is her now after the demise of Gary Coleman. And yes, Gary Coleman most definitely had health issues for sure. But the way he was found is questionable. Okay. And a lot of people are wondering, does this woman right here have something to do with his demise? Just so you know. And the only reason why I'm talking about this, her physical transformation in a way, because it seems like she is kind of holding something. And I'm not even talking about the results of this lie detector test yet. I'm just saying, seeing what she looks like right now, to me, it feels like she's holding something. She's harboring something that maybe she has not had the guts to say out loud because she's worried about it getting her into trouble. That's what I truly think. Okay. That's what I truly, truly think. But let's continue on. And, holding that kind of guilt can definitely aid you, can definitely do some damage on your body. But moving on. So Olivo, this FBI examiner, okay, posed three specific questions to Price. Three specific questions to Price. But only one of her answers showed a definitive finding. So the first question Olivo asked Price was if she ever struck Coleman during their relationship. She answered no, but the findings were inconclusive. I'm not going to say that you passed that test because you didn't, Olivo said. She said, I would never hurt him in the manner or in that manner or that sense because his life was so fragile, she replied, referring to the congenial kidney defect that he was actually born with. Okay. Daily life was a struggle for him, and I would never want to hurt him. The next question addressed whether Price initially or intentionally withheld proper aid from Coleman in the aftermath of his fall. She denied the allegation, and those results, once again, were inconclusive. That statistically raises a little bit of an eyebrow, Olivo said. Then again, you're the same person sitting there who's still nervous and who's still a bit distracted. But here's the way I look at it. This question having here's the way I look at it. This question having to do with you doing everything that you could possibly do for Gary when he fell, when you called 911, is an issue that you've had in your mind for 14 years. And it's still not resolved in your mind. Price then confessed, as far as rendering aid, I could have helped him a little bit more. Have mercy. Now remember, in the 911 call, apparently, what did they say in the beginning? What do they say? Just a quick reminder. 911 call reported the incident. She called, right? But she refused to listen to the operator's instructions. So she refused to render aid to the dude in the proper way. She just let him go bye-bye, slip away. They're like, oh, do this, then this. And she was not doing it, y'all. She was refusing to listen to the operator's instructions. Now she is saying, finally, after being caught in a lie detector test, saying that she did not render aid the proper way, now she's saying, oh, I could have helped him a little bit more. Yeah, I guess I could have helped him a little bit more. Yeah. Forget the 911 operator. You were there. Little bit of tough love now. You're not the victim here. He's the victim. The last question Olivo posed directly, okay, so directly asked Price if she physically caused Coleman's fall. While she insisted that she did not, the lie detector test found that deception indicated. You failed the exam regarding Gary's fall, Olivo stated. There are two things I know for sure, Shannon. One, you were not completely honest with me yesterday during this polygraph section. And two, the other thing I know that's 100% certain is that there is more to this story that hasn't been told. The body never lies. The body always tells the truth. And your body on that lie detector test spoke loud and clear. There's something that caused you to fail this test. Yo, crazy. All right? To me, bad. Price stated that she was, quote unquote, not surprised by the results because the examiner was relying on, quote unquote, a machine. Come on, y'all. Let's be real, okay? Sorry, no. Here's the thing. Let me just say this really quick. Why, oh, why? Why, oh, why, oh, why would you say, yeah, let me do a lie detector test? Why would you agree to go onto a national television show to do a lie detector test revolving around something that everyone is side-eyeing you like a mug? A case that people still believe that his life was taken. That it wasn't like just some natural cause and then he just passed out on the stairs and then fell down the stairs. People truly believe that she got mad and shoved him. Man, there have been documentaries after documentaries of this particular case. people truly believe that Gary Coleman's life was taken against his will, that he was straight murdered, and that she is the reason why he is gone. And what's crazy is that she goes on to a national show and says, yep, I will do the lie detector test. And she does it and she fails. Please, somebody, make that make sense. Okay? Now we got to go into the video. So we're going to look at that too. We got to take a look at the video itself. This is insane, y'all. And this is going to be out tomorrow. But you fail the lie detector test? Man. All right. Let's take a look.
These are the results on the critical questions.
Correct. The exam had to do with Gary's fatal fall. Okay. I asked.
You mean to tell me she looks like she's aged like fine wine? To me, it doesn't look like that to me at all. It looks like she aged like milk. But that's just me. I think that I truly still believe that she's harboring some information about his demise. And we're now finally seeing some information about that right now. And I really think that harboring is like a poison in her body, and it's causing, she ain't aging well. That's all I'm trying to say. She ain't aging well. She aging like milk. I said it. I don't give a damn.
See the following relevant questions on this test. Did you physically cause Gary's fall? Mm-hmm. You answered no. Right. I also asked you, did you physically cause Gary to fall that day? And you answered no. And the results are, you failed that exam with deception indicated to those relevant questions. Let me say that again. You failed the exam regarding Gary's fall.
Take a look at that look on her face. This is not, I'm sorry, y'all. You could look, Mang. Come on, y'all. You can't tell me that you're looking at this woman's reaction in her failing a lie detector test. She failed it, y'all. Okay? She failed it, and this is her reaction. That's her reaction. Come on, y'all. Come on.
What are your thoughts?
Here we go.
That's false.
That's her reaction. That's false. Sorry. Nah, bruh. Nah. She got caught. They need to reopen this investigation. Toot sweet.
There's two things I know for sure, Shannon.
Here we go.
One, you were not completely honest with me yesterday during this polygraph session. And two, the other thing I know that's 100% certain is that there is more to this story that hasn't been told.
Lie detector. Thank you. Thank you. So when you see something like that, yes, Wanda, okay, you lied. You lied, mother lover. Doesn't matter how many ways you look at it. Doesn't matter how many ways you fry this egg, you lied. Okay? You fried. You done. It's a wrap. Reopen the investigation, please, and thank you. As soon as possible. Okay? Because this is not good. The fact that she went, but see, this is the thing. It's like, why would you say I'm down to do a lie detector test, only to be found out that you lied on the lie detector test? You see what I'm saying? Unless they said, we'll pay you to do this lie detector test. This is bad. Remember, there's been true Hollywood story type of documentaries revolving around Gary Coleman's passing. Okay. There's been plenty of documentaries online, YouTube videos going, what happened to Gary Coleman? You know what I mean? He was the life of the party. Such a fantastic actor, a household name. And then suddenly he passes away mysteriously. Who did this? You know, there's all that, right? Plenty of documentaries revolving around this. And everyone's looking at her, at Miss Price. And what does she do? Oh, yeah, let me do a lie detector test on national television. Really? And now it comes out that you lied on the lie detector test. Seems a little bit weird. And again, you know, it just makes you wonder, why? Okay, here's the thing. If he fell and then she randomly found him, you know, just eventually came up, finding him on the floor, covered in blood and all that stuff. There's still a possibility that she just sat there and just let him kind of fade away slowly but surely. There's still that possibility too. Maybe she didn't push him. Maybe he did pass away from natural causes, right? And then he fell, and then that's, you know, what happened there too. But she could have sat down and just let him fade away and then eventually called the 911, right? So again, that's something that's very interesting. Let me see. Let me see if I can find the 911 call. Somebody just said, look up the 911 call. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Maybe we'll get lucky. I mean, hold on. Real quick before we go into the 911 call, because it looks like I got the 911 call too, but I want to share this. Just look at this woman, okay? Just look at this woman. Here it is. Now, I get it. She's sitting and all that stuff, but you think that this woman, she aging just fine. This looks like a woman who is, I really think overwrought with guilt. That's what I truly think. And I think she has something to do. I truly believe she has something to do with Gary Coleman's passing. I really do. And it could be as simple as her going, whoops, oopsies, or walking around, hey, Gary, oh my gosh. And just sitting there, waiting for a little while. And then she's like, wait a second, I do need to call this in. All right. And calling 911. Let's take a look at this. This is interesting. But see, she don't look 100%, y'all. She really doesn't.
Cameras rolled on this. Gary Coleman's ex-wife taking a lie detector test, delving into the fall that led to his death in 2010.
If you had anything to do physically with Gary's fall, polygraph's going to show that. You know what I mean by physical, right?
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Pushing him, shoving him, throwing him overboard. Let's do this.
Test is about to begin.
It's all part of the...
Bad. Not so great, guys. Let me pull up the 911 call. Okay, let me pull up the 911 call.
911, let's see, just the emergency.
A call for help in the small town of Santa Quinn. Here at the...
Hold on. Let's see.
I had my husband go make me some food downstairs. He just got home. I heard this big bang. I went downstairs, blood everywhere. I don't know if he's okay.
The time, 12:50 in the afternoon, a week ago Wednesday.
His head is bloody. There's blood all over the floor. I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. I just heard this bang and I went down there and he's on the floor. Send someone quick because I don't even know if he's like going to be alive because there's a lot of blood on the floor.
Real quick, you hear that, right? You hear that, right? Does it sound like she's really concerned? It's almost like she turned it on later. Is that just me or is it just me? It almost seems like a switch went off and she's like, oh, now I got to start acting like I'm concerned. And you never know. She may just be someone who's super stoic and very to themselves and not very, you know what I mean? When it comes to something tragic, they don't react in a way. But even the way she's talking, it's just kind of like, oh gosh, he's on the floor. I don't know what to do. So can you bring somebody here? There's no real urgency in her voice. That seems weird, right?
Then something odd happens.
Gary, are you okay?
Shannon says she can't help her dying husband because of an aversion to blood.
Can you go to where he is and help him? He's lethargic. I can't really help him. I just can't be here with the blood. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't. And
wait, what? What? Say what again? Say what again? Make that make sense. Hold up. What? Wait a second. What? Okay. It looks like it went back to normal again. Wait a second. Someone make that make sense. She said, I can't do the blood. I really can't do the blood. Nah, I'm good. I ain't going to do that. I'm going to stand over here. I'm going to let y'all do it. I'll just wait for y'all to show up because I can't really do the blood. Can't do that red. I'm sorry. I'm right over here. Say what? I'm running that back a little bit, y'all. Say what that again? See, this looks diabolical. Do you see what I'm saying? And even so, even in the article we just read, she says, yeah, there's some things I could have done. Huh? Yeah, there's some things I could have done. Bruh. Come on, man.
Can't really help him. I just can't be here with the blood. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't. And there's like blood all over and I can't do anything.
Where is he at now?
On the floor in the kitchen. I've just been kind of sick and, I don't want to be traumatized right now.
Is he conscious?
I don't know. No, he was like bubbling at the mouth. I'm gagging. I got blood on myself. I can't deal.
Gary then gets up.
Can you tell him to try and put pressure on the back of his head?
No, we can't. It's like all bloody, and I'm not trying to do. He's not with it. I just don't want him to die. I'm freaking out like really bad. Don't move. Stay there, okay? You had to put this on your head. Whoa. Keep pressure on this, okay? Hold this. Whoa. He's bloody like all freaking over.
Tell him he needs to sit down.
You need to sit down. Sit down. Gary, sit down. What's wrong? Look at the floor. Sit down. Oh, sit down.
Oh, man, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. That just made me really sad. Listen. I'm gonna say this. I would hope to God that we all have somebody in our lives that would have our back, no matter if they have a phobia of something or if they the sight of blood makes them, sick to their stomach because they're more concerned about taking care of you and making sure that you're safe, rather than sitting there with their own selfish reasons and saying, I can't help him because it's a pool of red everywhere and it makes me feel sick. Trust me, if I'm sitting there feeling sick to my stomach, I'm going to keep vomiting then. I don't care. That's somebody that I love. That's somebody that I care for. Allegedly, I know that they were exes at the time, but they still live together. So they care enough for each other to live in the same home under the same roof together. And the fact that you got a woman that's not willing to go and tend to her ex-love because of the fear of blood, like, that's so sad. I don't care. I'd be gagging and puking and all that. I don't care. I'd be like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? I don't care, because I'm wanted to make sure people are safe. That's crazy. That's crazy, y'all. That makes no sense. Instantly. And you never know. Maybe the woman's a little odd, mental health issues, etc., like that. Okay, fine. But at the same time, you're talking about life or death. I can't do that. I can't go over there. I can't even touch that. That seems suspicious as hell. I don't know about you guys, right? Even if you hear about all these countless people that have been doing so many amazing things, defying their own fears of succumbing to water in these floods and all that are going on in Texas and everywhere else in the country. They're doing everything they can to save people they don't even know. They're not sitting there going, oh no, oh, I can't get into the water because, oh no, my kid is over there. Oh no, I can't go over there. What? They're doing they're defying their own fears to try to help somebody or to get their kids or to get their loved ones. This is just red on the floor. There's blood on the floor. And she's going, nope, can't do it. I can't. Nope. You're going to handle it. You got to handle it. That's insane, y'all. Okay? I would hate. Man, that's just terrible, y'all. Like, I would hope everybody would have loved ones that would defy any of their fears to make sure that they're safe. Right? That's what I would hope, that they would run through fire, literally run through fire to make sure that person who's in dire straits is safe. This is somebody who doesn't do that. And he was married to her for a little while, which is insane. Yeah, the 911 call seemed very strange. She did not mind him being gone. She did not. There's no moment where she showed any care or love for this man. Okay? It almost seemed like she found a random person gone in their home. You know what I mean? She's just like, oh my gosh, person's gone. Even so, though, a person gone and you found them in a house, I feel like there still be some concern. Voice would quiver a little bit, Oh my gosh, I found a dead body. Oh my God. Yeah, we got somebody here. I don't know who he is, but he's gone. I think he's gone. You know what I mean? There's some semblance of concern, urgency, and there's none here. So then when you look at her lie detector test, what does it tell you? You tell me. What does it tell you? Does it show that she's totally innocent? I don't think so. That lie detector test shows that she lied. And there's some information she did not tell. There's information that she did not tell to police or anything for the last 15, 14 years. She's harboring something for sure. That could be a key element on why this man is gone in the first place. And it could be by her own hand. That's all I'm saying. So we're going to see what happens, because I'm sure after that is exposed, I would hope that they reopen the investigation. And if justice needs to be served, may it be served as quickly as possible. Okay? Because it's been 14 years overdue. Okay? But I'm glad that it fixed itself somehow by some grace of some miracle. The computer decided to be nice to me right now, which I'm very happy about. But nonetheless, that is some very, very bad stuff. Absolutely insane. All right. But we do have some other things that we need to talk about. We're going to get into that conversation here. Okay. One second. That's what I was going to do. We need to talk about Nicki Minaj. Yes, we need to talk about Nicki Minaj. Okay, or not Nicki Minaj. I'm sorry, Megan Thee Stallion. Okay, we need to talk about Megan Thee Stallion, because some crazy stuff is going on right now, which I'm still kind of surprised. Okay, sorry, hold on. Trying to see if I can find the info. Some is very weird is going on, and I really want to understand exactly what's going on here. But apparently, and I wasn't wrong, this was a thing that allegedly happened. So let's take a look at this. Megan Thee Stallion and Roc Nation can't dismiss a lawsuit by a cameraman who alleges that Megan Thee Stallion forced him to watch her have relations in a car. Like I said, this makes no earthly sense. Well, we got to talk about it. Okay? I'm not sitting here saying that it didn't happen. Innocent until proven guilty in the court of law, but at the same time, this is weird. Okay? And so according to Billboard, all right, so a federal judge says that the salacious lawsuit sets forth adequate discrimination and retaliation claims and can move forward. So they tried to get this, they really tried to get this dismissed, Roc Nation and Megan Thee Stallion, and they decided, nope, it can still go through. Ain't this about to shut your mouth? Okay? So Megan Thee Stallion and Roc Nation must keep fighting legal claims from a cameraman who says he was forced to watch the rapper Megan Thee Stallion have the hibbity-dibbity in a car during a European tour, a federal judge has ruled. In an opinion dated July 2nd, okay, of last week, all right, Judge Gregory H. Woods says cameraman Emilio Garcia has pleaded sufficient facts to continue litigating bombshell discrimination and retaliation claims he brought last spring against the star Megan Thee Stallion, okay, and her management company. In their bid to dismiss the case, Megan and Roc Nation have called Garcia a quote-unquote con artist and deny that the star forced him to watch her have relations, the hibbity-dibbity, with another woman inside a moving car while on tour in Ibiza, Spain, in 2022. So again, he's basically saying, yo, she's making me watch her have relations with another woman in the car while it's in motion in Ibiza, Spain. So in a way, he's basically saying, like, I couldn't just walk out the car. I couldn't just step out, right? I had to sit there and endure this BS, watching two women doing the hibbity dibbity. Okay, there's a lot of other men that would have no problem with this situation, like the diddler. Okay, he'd be like, baby, oh, Astroglide? No. Okay. I keep doing what you're doing, though. I'm gonna pull out the camera. Camera? No. Okay. Well, I'm gonna sit here and watch you guys as I slowly sip this scalding hot vegetable soup. Tasty. You know what I'm saying? But again, very interesting. This happened in 2022. But judge says the cameraman, they throw it out. They had to throw it in here. Him gay. Oh my God. Here's the twist. So he was like, L, literally. Okay. This is crazy. He's like, I don't even like that. You know what I mean? Damn. This is insane. So the cameraman, who actually is gay, plausibly pleads that the alleged sexual encounter in the SUV in Ibiza created a hostile work environment based on the plaintiff's sexual orientation. Dear God. So he said, and I get it though. Yeah, it's a hostile work environment. I mean, you just got the JJ everywhere. You know what I'm saying? They just backs, butts, and booty holes. But still crazy. Okay? So he's saying this created a hostile work environment because she was in a way, it's kind of like, I'm gonna make you straight. Watch me as I'm with this other girl. You like that? Yeah, I bet you like that. Right? This all happened in Ibiza, Spain in 2022. And she said, I can turn him straight. I can change him. Crazy. Plaintiff asked the court to draw the inference that Megan Thee Stallion would not have engaged in group relations with another woman in front of a heterosexual male. That Megan Thee Stallion felt comfortable engaging in group activities, group hibbity-dibbity, okay, with another woman in front of plaintiff because of plaintiff's sexuality and gender. This is what the judge writes. They continue. This is not an unreasonable inference to draw from the facts alleged. Therefore, plaintiff has plausibly pleaded that he experienced the alleged inferior conditions of his employment on account of his sexual orientation. So only because he is gay was the reason why this whole thing went down in the first place. So in other words, he's saying that she believed that she could change him or make him feel some type of way because she was bumping uglies with another woman. Interesting, right? The order also declines to dismiss Garcia's retaliation claims against Megan and Roc Nation, which allege he had his hours and pay rates cut back after complaining about the SUV incident. So he did speak out about this, guys, but then still, no. Oh, no. He got his money messed with because he went up and said something about this. Garcia says he was later fired from Megan Thee Stallion's entourage and blackballed. Okay, not the greatest term to use right now, but he was blackballed from working elsewhere in the entertainment industry. These facts raise a reasonable inference that material terms and conditions of plaintiff's employment were altered in retaliation for speaking up about the Ibiza incident. So again, could this incident really be real? That she really was doing this? And he's like, I'm not cool. Oh my God, I'm not cool with this. I'm not cool with seeing y'all doing this. Then he went and he complained about it. I don't know if he went to some person in HR or something like that. But then, even after HR heard about it, they still started messing with his money and his hours. So his money started getting funny. That's crazy, right? While Megan and Roc Nation must now keep fighting these blockbuster claims, they did succeed in parring back his lawsuit. So Judge Woods' order, dismisses an additional hostile work environment claim under California law, as well as aiding and abetting allegations and overtime wage claims. Okay, so they reached for comment on the ruling on Monday, which was earlier, this stuff a couple days ago, from Garcia's attorney, and they tell Billboard that the order will allow him to replead the dismissed claims in an amended complaint. So his lawyer says, we have plenty of facts, over 14 depositions we've taken to get the facts that we need. Okay. A spokesperson for Megan Thee Stallion and Rock Nation did not immediately return a request for comment on this decision. Again, Megan Thee Stallion got some explaining to do now. Okay. She out here, bumping uglies with other girls and saying, watch this. Watch me, right? And he's going, no, right? Because he wasn't cool with that. He didn't like that. Ew, right? He did not like that. And he's saying, and he's claiming that this all happened because he bats for the other team. Interesting, right? And he claims that this would not have happened if he was hetero. Very interesting as well. I don't know. Maybe it would have happened, even so, if he was heterosexual. Maybe. You never know. She may have just wanted to have somebody to watch her doing this. Here's the other thing, too. There was somebody else in the car. Think about that for a second. Hold up. Somebody else was in the car driving the car. I'm assuming, right? Because if he's like, oh, my God, you're doing this in front of me. Ew. Was he the one driving the car? So he didn't even have to pay attention. He could have just kept driving the car, right? Think about it. If he was driving the car, he's paying attention to the road. He doesn't even need to watch. So there had to have been somebody else in the car driving the car while this cameraman's sitting there going, oh, my God, right? So where is that account? And also the other girl, okay? While they got everything exposed, literally, okay? Getting some air down there. Are they going to be bringing her in? Are they going to be talking to her? Who is the other girl, right? Who's the driver and who's the girl driving Megan Thee Stallion? You get one? Okay, that was not that great. But you know what I'm saying, okay? Because again, like I said, why would somebody be like, oh, I am so turned on. I need to do this right now en route in Ibiza. I can't wait till I go into a hotel behind closed doors and do the hibbity-dibbity there. I got to do it right here in front of everybody. Seems a little bit weird, right? Yeah. She's got an itch and somebody needs to scratch her kitty. Okay. But again, very interesting, right? And then you got this cameraman who's feeling some type of way because she was bumping uglies with another woman right in front of him. Crazy. Crazy indeed. Okay? Crazy stuff indeed. Golly. Come on. This is driving me crazy. I'm still here, guys. I am still here. 1 second. Let me fix this crap. Let me fix this crap real quick. Okay, I'm still here. Let's see if that worked. Yep, it did. Okay. Golly. Like I said, this thing is tripping balls, man. Tripping freaking balls. I hate it. But like I said, very, very interesting stuff. And I'm kind of curious about this. You know, Megan Thee Stallion, as you guys already know, has already had her fair share of BS recently. There's people still circling back, looking at all that stuff, you know, especially with the whole pew pew situation at her feet, and you know, if she was actually hit or if it was actually broken glass and all that, and then of course Tory Lanez being locked up and everything. And I mean, again, she's already had her whirlwind of problems, okay, and now she has another problem as well. Even so. Even Nicki Minaj has been, you know, speaking out and dragging Megan Thee Stallion, you know, about these things as well too. But that's another conversation entirely in of itself, which, you know, we'll talk about here in the near future. But nonetheless, it's crazy to think. Okay, it's crazy to think that Megan Thee Stallion would force another person to watch her. I'm just going to put up the title again. To force another person, a cameraman, to watch her do the hibbity dibbity. When in actuality, there are plenty of guys out there that would have stood in line to watch this. So it is interesting, and it does make you wonder what the real backstory is about this situation, because it is very weird, right? Ain't it a little bit weird to you? These allegations are pretty deep. You know? So it does make you wonder, is that real? Is this true? Or are these allegations false? Here's one thing's for sure. The judge is allowing this to go further. It's not being stopped. It's not getting thrown out or dismissed. So the judge feels like there's enough information here. There's enough proof for it to be seen inside of a courtroom. That's absolutely insane. And given the fact that this particular cameraman even went to, let's just say, HR to complain about this experience that he endured, okay, against his will, the fact that they mess with his money and they mess with his hours solely because he made a complaint is a big problem too. So the fact that there's proof of that, woo, this is going to be a very, very interesting situation. And yeah, Jack Black, I'm sure this happens a lot. Okay, people just doing the hibbity dibbity, you know what I mean? Bumping uglies right in front of each other. Obviously, we've been dealing with Diddy as of late. I'm not surprised about people out here bumping uglies. It's not that big of a surprise, y'all. It really isn't, right? But still, it's interesting nonetheless that this trial or this case, this lawsuit is not being dismissed and it's going further. That shows you that this guy has some sort of proof of something, and that could be very, very bad for Megan Thee Stallion and Roc Nation. And let's not forget, apparently Roc Nation is in a slew of issues right now, which of course we'll have to talk about here in the near future. But nonetheless, this is bad. It's bad. This is not looking good for Megan Thee Stallion and Roc Nation, to be completely real. All right. But let's continue on, because I think I got one more story for you guys. But let me check here something real quick. One second. Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to show. Hold on, let me see. Do I still have that up here? I don't think I do. Okay. We have got to talk about Epi. We got to talk about J.E. Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, guys, we really do need to talk about this. And the only reason why I want to bring this up is because there's something here that just seems a little bit odd to me. Okay. Hold on. Hold on one second. There is some breaking information here. I'm wondering what this is. About the integrity of international aid and legal proceedings. Wait a second. Oh, and I'm gone again. What's going on? What happened here? Like, this is tripping like crazy, y'all. Hold on one second. I want to show this to you guys anyway. This is something that I think is very interesting here. They're saying Andrew Tate claims a woman admitted to being paid $100,000 by the USAID funded NGO before accusing him and his brother of HTing, suggesting a setup. The allegations raise questions about the integrity of international aid and legal proceedings. So we got to take a look at this. This is interesting. But hold on. It says here, this is a kind of a recap here. It says Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan have been charged in the UK for R and HTing. The 21 charges relate to alleged crimes from 2012 to 2015. CPS confirms charges, but Romania's ongoing case takes priority before extradition. And of course, we already know that Andrew Tate is in a lot of issues right now. Okay, yeah, a top G, right? That guy. All right. So let's take a look at this really, really quick.
The girl who initially accused my brother and I of human trafficking 3.5 years ago has just admitted to DCAW that she was paid in advance before she made the police report, $100,000 to make the report, and the money came from a USAID-funded NGO designed to combat human trafficking. Why would you pay somebody before they make a police report $100,000 to combat human trafficking unless you were actually trying to set us up? She then admits that after she took the money, she flew here, made the police report, and after only 3 days in Romania, she was flown to the south of France. The flights, hotels, and budget for her stay there was all paid for by the same NGO. And we have the fucking paperwork.
Interesting. Now, let me just be real. We've already talked about, him a lot on this channel. We haven't talked about him recently because, there's been some allegations. Recently, there's been some allegations against him. Those things have dropped, okay, which was recently exposed, or, that news recently broke. But this is some interesting stuff, okay, that I need to repeat this again. Hold on.
The girl who initially accused my brother and I of human trafficking 3.5 years ago has just admitted to DCAW that she was paid in advance before she made the police report, $100,000 to make the report, and the money came from a USAID-funded NGO designed to combat human trafficking. Why would you pay somebody before they make a police report $100,000 to combat human trafficking unless you were actually trying to set us up? She then admits that after she took the money, she flew here, made the police report, and after only 3 days in Romania, she was flown to the south of France. The flights, hotels, and budget for her stay there was all paid for by the same NGO. And we have the fucking paperwork.
I would love to see the paperwork, because that's quite some claims, y'all. I'm going to be real. I would really like to see the paperwork, okay? I'd really like to see the paperwork. Those are some serious claims, just to be completely real. Those are some serious claims. I would like to see the truth on that information. Of course, I'm sure there's going to be more information coming out, but that is something that is very, very interesting nonetheless. But I want to see more, right? But real quick, okay, he says he got receipts. So let's see if he got the receipts, right? Let's see if he got the freaking receipts. Now, here's the thing. Real quick, I wanted to share this with you guys. Now, I just wanted to talk about this really quick. We talked about this yesterday, talking about J. okay? And we have got to talk about Epi really quick, all right? Jeffrey Epstein, all right? And the fact that there's no list, and that he did it himself, that, his life wasn't taken, okay? He did it to himself, right? That I'm willing to believe. Okay, I don't think it's a far-fetched idea. that he would do something like this to himself. Not a surprise at all whatsoever. But there are certain things that I have a problem with, okay? The list not existing. Yet they've talked about this list ad nauseum, guys. It just doesn't make any sense. But this is the moment where everyone should feel, I feel like Trump should be saying something about this, okay? Trump should be saying something about this. And yes, Allison, let's not forget that too. Where is it? And let's not forget that too. The video was cut. 1 minute was cut out of the video. I said yesterday 2 minutes was cut. I made a mistake. It was 1 minute that was cut out. And a lot can be done in 1 minute. Real talk. A lot of damage could be done in 1 minute. And they keep saying, oh, no, it's totally normal. This is what they do. Because these video cameras are from 1994 or something crazy like that. And so they only, they cut off for 1 minute every hour, something crazy like that, right? And so they're making all these excuses, moving the goalposts as best as they can. And it's crazy, right? But nonetheless, I'm going, okay, Trump needs to speak about this. I truly do. Okay? I truly believe that Trump needs to say something about this. Now, what's interesting is that he does kind of speak on it, but he's filibustering for Pam Bondi, because Pam Bondi, okay, Attorney General Pam Bondi, in the same person that everyone is having or saying should be fired from her job because of what she's been saying in these interviews, saying, I see in the list, can't wait for you guys to see the list. You know what I mean? Everybody's been hyping up this list only for it to not exist is absolutely asinine to me, okay? And understandably, I understand why the rest of the world, even MAGA, okay, even MAGA country is losing their doggone minds and kind of retaliating against Trump right now because of the stuff, because of this information. Oh, there is no list. What? What are you talking about? Seems weird, right? And let me be real. If there is no such thing as a list, they should have said this a long time ago. Why would they not say this a long time ago then? So again, it doesn't make any sense to me, okay? You can miss me with the BS on that. But what's interesting about this is how he reacts, okay? And this tweet says Trump just, okay, let me pull this up here. It says Trump just leapt on to stop a reporter from asking Pam Bondi about the missing minute in the Epstein jail tape, okay? Which understandably, we should all ask that question. We should all be asking as many questions as possible because, again, they've been saying that a list exists and then suddenly the list don't exist no more. Doesn't make any sense. So the panic was visible. You'd think that they were being asked about national security secrets, not a dead S tier with no clients, no tapes, and apparently no list, right? Ask yourself this. If there's nothing to hide, why the full-blown scramble whenever someone brings up Epstein's name? This is a very good question. Let's take a look at this video.
Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for an American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the
Yeah, sure. If
Pam, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
Let me just say, the only pushback I'm going to say right now is that Trump himself, when he was running for office, again, he said, I'm going to expose everything about Epstein. I'm going to expose everything about Martin Luther King Jr., and his passing. I'm going to expose everything about JFK and his life being taken as well, right? He said all of those things. And now when we come to the 0 hour, he's now sitting here saying, are we still talking about this? This is ridiculous. We have so many other things that we need to talk about. Why are we still talking about this? What do you mean by that? You said yourself, if I get elected, I'm going to drain the swamp. I'm going to expose it all. Did he not say that? That was one of the big things he was saying in his whole campaign. And then when finally the information comes out and it looks sus as hell, he says, wait a second. Why are you getting mad? Why y'all mad? Stop. We got other things to talk about, y'all. By the way, this information, when they did this video, maybe it was 24 hours old. The information about the list not existing, maybe it was 24 hours old. Come on, y'all. And then he's filibustering. He's clearly giving her some more time so that she can come up with a good excuse. That's just what it feels like to me. He is filibustering right now and basically trying to shame the media and the general public because we want more transparency and a little bit more understanding on why you would sit there and say certain things and then suddenly say that those certain things that you've been hyping up about for several months, if not for years, doesn't suddenly exist anymore. Make it make sense, guys.
Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
You see how he was punching down? You know what I mean? He's like sitting there trying to talk down at the reporter when it's just like, listen, they're in the room. They're discussing the Texas flood for sure, but at the same time, you just happen to drop this information while everybody's looking over at this Texas flood, and the media is basically saying like, we are not going to ignore the fact that you just said that there is no list when you've been saying and hyping up for years that there is a list, and then at the same time, it's like there is no achievement going on in the Texas floods. There are still 173 people still missing out there. 119 people have lost their lives. This is not an achievement. It is a tragedy, right? So again, it's, he's trying to deflect. He's trying to do this. Look over here. He's trying to do the Kansas City shuffle, right? He's like, where everybody goes and he makes everybody look left while they go right. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. You can miss it with the nonsense.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night.
So every night a minute is missing. And if that is the case, you don't think that all of us are sitting here thinking that maybe they would know that? Maybe the evildoers, people who want to go and take him out would actually know that conveniently the minute, this specific minute of, right before it strikes midnight, cameras shut down. It's very Ocean's 11. You see what I'm saying? It's very like, okay, on the minute, you can go in there. Maybe that's the case. Here it is. I still think that he may have just done it himself. Okay. I still believe that. But you can miss me with the nonsense on the fact that that the list does not exist. Okay. And then, like I said, when you hype it up, when you use it as part of your campaign, you can't expect the general public to react in the way that they're reacting. that the media is sitting there going, we need more transparency. We need more understanding on what's going on. You can't tell me that you can sit there and try to make people feel bad for wanting to know the truth. It just doesn't make sense to me, guys. Again, this is not a great look for him. Okay, it's not. It's not a great look for his administration, and it's definitely not a good look for Pam Bondi, because Pam Bondi's been on interviews saying otherwise. We got the paperwork on the desk. I'm looking through it right now as we speak, right? And now they're trying to move the goalpost, trying to change the narrative to make it seem like we've all lost our minds, when they've all but done. All they've done has been basically hyping up this situation as much as they can for years. It's crazy, guys. It's absolutely crazy. But anyway, guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Okay, Cyrus, you know what I mean? It's the Ocean's 11 thing, right? It's the Ocean's 11 thing. Oh, snap. Hold on. I got some super chats here real quick. Lieber King, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Maybe the government made a mistake with an all-female prosecution because they focused too much on the spicy stuff in the DB. Maybe a guy would have directed some focus on other stuff. The ladies were all thinking alike. Ooh, that's a statement. That is a statement. I wouldn't say that. I think that the prosecution, I think they were leaning too much on the salaciousness. They needed to not look on the salaciousness so much and just give the facts. That's what I think. You know what I mean? Wanda Young, thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat. Gary was her cash cow. She did it. Yeah, I truly think that that's the case too. And I think that's the reason why she said, if he did just fall, she just sat back and just let him bleed out. That's what I truly think too. Okay, but we'll see what happens, because that lie detector test, I hope, will spark law enforcement to look into that case, reopen that case, and bring justice if justice needs to be served. But guys, I appreciate you guys for being here. Again, it really means a lot. Okay, be sure to hit that like button down below on your way out. That would really mean the world to me. Hit that like button down below, please, and thank you. That would be dope. Don't forget, if you can, please hit that subscribe button here. Go hit that follow button on all my other platforms, please, and thank you. Okay? Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon and check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. We still got to do the Tyler Perry talk as well. So we will be talking about that hopefully today. We'll see. It's been a very busy couple days, but we'll be talking here soon. Okay, guys? Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. Talk soon. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.